Very good evening, everybody. Nice to have you company wherever you're tuning in, all around Australia or indeed the world. These are the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. This is Monday Night Motorsport. It's our open wheel tin top doubleheader with thanks to Waste Options. It is Formula 3 first up and a sprint round from the Algarve circuit, Portimão, Portugal, and then on to the Mugello circuit in Italy, a European doubleheader for you tonight. And we'll bring you Waste Options GT3 Pro-Am and their first 60-minute race of the season. Driver swap behind the buttons tonight. Adam Lavis out, Dan Yeaman in, but still Zach Caven with you here front and centre as we get ready to rock and roll in Waste Options Wings and Slicks Formula 3. There's the circuit, there's the weather conditions, 10:45 a.m. local service time, 15 km/h winds east to northeast direction there. 20 degrees the ambient, I should say. 16 km/h winds, 87% humidity, cloudy conditions, and 27 degrees. Not going to have time to run through the championship standings. We'll come back to that. So there's the grid for you because they're already gridding up the first sprint round of the new campaign. Aidan Cale was pretty impressive last week. Mark Heppel's there alongside him. Ryan Jones, Brendan Grosh from the second row. Adam Hayne, Alex Tzoukas from the third row. Lachlan Purvis, Sky Leach, the fourth row. Adam Funslow and Brett Barker from row 5. Row 6 in a field of 22. It's Marcus Hankey alongside John Baldwin. Daniel Correa and Eduardo Zamora from 7. From 8, Brett Bradbury and Brad Hudson. From 9, Edward Rollo and Kevin Wakefield. From 10, Jet Murray and Adam Lavis. Good to see Lavis being able to go and have a run on a Monday night. A rarity for him. Dale Jeffries and Patrick Savina make up the field. Now, the reason that Lavis is in the cockpit and Dan Yeaman's here alongside me is because there's a role reversal this week due to Dan's real-world work commitments. Adam Lavis will be steering you through Wednesday Night Motorsport. Not sure with who yet, considering that I'm occupied elsewhere, but we'll elaborate on that in more detail a little bit later on. Sluggish start for a couple, but a blinder of a start for Mark Heppel. Racing underway on a Monday night, and Heppel leads Aidan Cale to turn 1. Start was critical, but we saw last week at Road America there is plenty of opportunity for slipstreaming, for drafting, for dicing, for overtaking. And the roller coaster that is the Algarve International Circuit is no different as we make our way onto the back straight for the first time. And already Aidan Cale looking to respond on the inside. Down the inside to turn 4. Heppel and Cale. Cale goes through. Bit of movement further back. Into trouble. Down goes Heppel. Down goes Heppel. One of about half a dozen to run into trouble so far on the opening lap. Heppel's gone round. Behind that, we've got replays galore, I'm sure. Lockie Puck's been caught up. And Brett Barker's been caught up. And Brett Bradbury's been caught up. And there goes Kevin Wakefield, rear wing gone. They are dropping everywhere. They are dropping like flies. We've got 6 in the casualty ward on the opening lap. That was Ryan Jones blocking it up and going too deep into the right-hander. And Adam Hayne is the beneficiary of that, and so too is Brendan Grosh. And here comes Adam Funslow down on the inside, not able to get done just yet. I'll get to you in a moment, Yeaman. Bloody hell, there's plenty going on this opening lap. Never seen anything like it. Rocky Paris has a mechanical meatball flag to his name. Dale Jeffries and Jet Murray were non-starters. We've got 1 in the books here, but what a chaotic lap it was. Something about this circuit and sprint racing that just delivers every single time. Hello to Adam Richards from Disruptive Labs tuning in tonight, and we're right on board with Ryan Jones in 5th. Tzoukas down the inside of Grosh. Alex Tzoukas is 3rd. What a start from him. Unbelievable drama, and all that's done is allow Aidan Cale to bolt and disappear into the sunset. 2.2 seconds to the good on the opening lap. Kevin Wakefield makes it back to pit lane, and Lockie Purvis does as well. And now down on the inside is Brendan Grosh and Alex Tzoukas. Getting it done. Brilliant from Grosh. Jones wants a piece of this as well. Tzoukas fights back on the outside. And Grosh goes back to 4th. John Baldwin's in 7th. Guy Leach is 8th. How good to see Daniel Correa popping back into the rig. In position number 9, our commentary and production colleague here on the platforms of the GSRC. He's been out of action for a while. He's back on deck. Eduardo Zamora sits 10th. Edward Rollo is 11th. So Zamora is on the invert pole at this stage as things stand. It's only a 10-minute race, which at 1 minute 40 a lap Actually, no, you know what? Let's recalibrate there, because it's not going to be 1 minute 42nd time through. I was going to say 1 minute 40 and 2 is 3:20 and 1 is 5, so that would make 6. But it's probably looking like 7 laps on this opener of the night. Oh, save me, Dan Yeaman. What a chaotic start. Welcome to Monday Night Motorsport from a production standpoint, but as the outgoing Wings and Slicks champion, you must be disappointed to not be out there.
Once upon a time, Zach, I had to... Oh, we'll go to this battle pack at the front. Second place. This is 2x2 to turn 1 here. It's going to be Grosh who wins out round the corner. Pardon me, P3, the battle. Adam Hayne is checked out ahead of them, as does Aiden Cowell checked out ahead of him in turn. But yeah, that was a little wild one we catch in shot there. These guys are not done fighting over these positions just yet as they try and settle themselves in. He said maximum of this invert 10 coming up for the main race after this. So it'll mean that these guys, if they can get a couple points now, of course, they'll have to then start behind the drivers they finish ahead of when we get to that one there. But I mean, yeah, on your point there, once upon a time I had sort of envisioned, hey, it'd be nice to maybe try this car. I used to think I was not too shabby hand in this older Dallara F3 chassis in racing elsewhere, but alas, Wednesday night's looking like I wouldn't be available to produce as we'd sort of hoped or hoped for, at least the full show. So made the deal to do the switch this week, and Adam will take care of things to make sure we get the full show, production-wise at least, from Wednesday. But as you said, commentary, well, we'll have to cross that bridge in the next 2 days.
Indeed, and well done on the overtime yesterday too, by the way. More on that a little bit later on, ladies and gentlemen. My goodness, it's been a chaotic start to turn 2 on the platforms of the GSRC. Aiden Cale, Adam Hayne, Brendan Grosh, who's Gap, Brian Jones, Adam Punslow, Alex Tzikis. They're weaving, they're slicing and dicing their way down the main straight. Plenty of overtaking opportunities around this circuit. One of the newer ones, back on the Formula One calendar over the next couple of years. Excited about that, but right now our focus is on Guy Leach, who's down on the inside and getting by John Baldwin. So Leach on the 7th at the moment, Eduardo Zamora. Then Daniel Carrier-Sar, Edward Rollo sits there in position number 11. He's on the tail of Daniel Carrier-Sar at the moment, who's being passed by Eduardo Zamora. Just to update you on all the garbage happening behind all of that, Kevin Wakefield has got back out there, but is now a lap down. Brett Bradbury is the last car on the lead lap. We've got 19 cars on the circuit. Travis as a party is not showing on your screen there, I believe I'm right in saying, ladies and gentlemen. I've got two drivers in position number 18 because Travis is in race control. So I've got no idea how he's been able to get himself a Guernsey on my SDK timing screen, but there you go. Rocky Purvis gets a 10-second penalty for the contact on the opening lap as well, just to add insult to injury.
Yeah, so you'd see Travis Lee may have signed himself up as a driver tonight, so that may be the explanation for why you're seeing him. Interesting is that even though you should be getting a copy of what I'm sending out, I can't see him because I did see a part of qualifying whilst he joined as a driver. He made sure to disqualify himself so that he wouldn't accidentally put himself on the grid come race time. But the thing about this,
SDK has a way of giving us weird and mysterious things, doesn't it?
Yeah, it seems like it, yeah.
And confirmation from the man himself as well. But he did DQ himself. There'd be a part of you that would have a dagger in the heart as you're inflicting that punishment upon yourself. But anyway, down the main straight we go. Adam Lavis down the inside. Is this for 11th? Yep, Edward Rollo holds sway in that battle for the moment, but Lavis is there on his inside as they get to turn 4. Nice. Well done. So up the hill through turn number 4. Run down to 5. Uh-oh. Oh, jeez. Packet loss may be an issue in the far northern part of New South Wales this evening. Down the inside goes Marcus Henke. Gets by Edward Rollo. So Rollo, unfortunately, any chance he had of factoring in the equation for that invert pole position has now evaporated. Hello to Sam Katakazitis tuning in for the first time in a while on the platforms of the GSRC. Normally that's the name we'd be calling or trying to wrap our tongue around on the racetrack tonight, just instead in the comments section. So Aiden Cale leads. We're on lap 5. We expect 2 more at the line this time through. There's Brendan Grosh holding off Ryan Jones for 3rd at the moment. Bunslow and Tzikis behind them. So that 4-car battle pack has become 2 2-car fights at this point. But look at the pressure that Daniel Correa could well be under to hold the invert pole whole shot 10th position, because he's sitting there in 10th at the moment. But look at him lining up behind him. Flavis, Hankey, Heppel on the comeback, Barker, Rollo, right, all there. Floodgates entirely now contained for Edward Rollo, but not before the damage was done. He lost out to Flavis, Hankey, Heppel, Barker in pretty quick succession. 2 to go at the Algarve.
I think Correa-Sar's saving grace might be the fact you got drivers here like Zamora and Baldwin, a little bit of scrapping there into T1, and if they're just on the cusp of giving him slipstream, he'll be able to get a little bit of a straight line buff. And there you go, at turn 3. Baldwin in a bit hot, trying to defend, re-aggress against Zamora, and it brings Correa-Sar and Lavis, though, right with them into this. So Correa-Sar can now attack, but if he gets checked up, he'll have to be straight back on the defense if there's an opportunistic move coming from Lavis as well.
And Adam could well end up finding himself in as high as 8th position here. So if he can make things work for himself and rely on maybe a slip up from somebody ahead of him, there's 3 positions there to be gained over the course of this and the next lap, which will be the final one. Take your seat. Appreciate it. The vocal cords still get a good workout though. Nice to be back in the booth. A lot's transpired since Thursday, of course, including an 8-hour trip back to Ipswich. So we're back in the usual man cave to bring you all the action of weeks 2, 3, 4, and I think 5, or is it 6 that I'm away? One of the 2. I'm away on the road again, partway through this term, off to Grenfell. 15-second penalty for Ryan Jones. The contact with Mark Heppel. Now, we only got a first-hand look at that incident. We didn't go back and have a look at any replays, but they pinned it on Jonesy. White flag flies at the Algarve. And Zikas is under pressure here. Funslow goes through to 5th. Adam Funslow right at home in these lighter, more nimble vehicles, isn't he? He proved that with the Legend cars. He's backing it up with some good, strong results in the early stages of the Formula 3 campaign. This is the first of 4 sprint rounds in this series. And Adam Funslow's on his way to bagging another top 5 result. It'll be a definite top 5 result, whatever happens in that battle, because Jonesy's about to be punted to the tune of 15 seconds, which will put him down at this stage, the way things stand, behind Edward Rollo. So that's a significant. There it is. Oh, yep, okay. Can see it now.
Yeah. I just want to go on board with Ryan Jones for that one.
Let's do it. So this was turn 5, lap 1. Oh, he had nowhere to go.
That's, look, yeah, I'm not one to obviously get myself involved in the politicking of race control, and the fact of the matter is that the guys in there have a hard enough time as it is sometimes. But to me, that feels like Jones is taking every right to the apex of the corner, and Heppel being beaten to that apex with KO has just tried to go for the over-under and not seen it coming from Jones behind.
Aidan Cale took full advantage of that incident and blitzed his way to a 4-second win in race 1 of round 2 of the Waste Options Wings and Slicks Formula 3 series here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Very nicely done. Daniel Correa-Sar go to hold on the 10th and get the invert pole. Hayne, Jones, Grosh, Funslow to Zikas, Leach, Zamora and Baldwin all in between. And if Jonesy's penalty stands after the fact, he's going to wedge in just ahead of Edward Rollo by 0.03 of a second. Rollo came home in 13th, so that would relegate Jonesy to 12th. But I'm going to stress it, Dan, based on the new evidence presented before us, as we have a look at some of the other incidents that, of course, plagued that opening heat for all and sundry. I'm going to stress that the results for the moment are provisional.
I just want to figure out where is Kevin Wakefield lost his rear end of his car. I think there was
some garbage around 2 and 3.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to our first crash of lap 1. This is all lap 1 replays whilst we wait for our last driver's division. So Brett Barker, looks like he's on his own though. He's going to have a big old spin out of turn 3. Oh, and he's... I guess we've had cars lose. Yeah, they've lost their front ends. This doesn't flag as a crash incident for many of them.
Doesn't flag what happened. This
Hanky,
might be what happened.
And here's the checkups. Yep.
Yeah. Bang.
Oh. And in the background of shot, we just saw Wakefield lose his rear wing to a car rejoining ever so slightly. So that's the race.
There you go. And we've got 2 minutes to fill, which is enough time to A, bring you the results, and B, go and look at the point standings as they stood coming into this round. Aidan Cale, 4 seconds to the good over Adam Hayne. Ryan Jones, again, there's an asterisk next to that. Brendan Grosh, Adam Fanslow, Alex Tzika, Sky Leach, Eduardo Zamora, John Baldwin, and Daniel Correa. So the top 10. Now, let me very quickly clarify. A, new points system in play for this season in that all positions pay. That's not necessarily an issue in a field with less than 25, but it is in more than 25 because that's a distinct difference on previous seasons. And secondly, there's no way of applying that 15-second penalty to Jonesy in service. So he retains third in server, and he'll therefore start 8th on the grid for race number 2. And all that manipulation to the results will be done externally by Adam Lavis after the fact tonight. So after GT3, stay tuned for that. That's how it stood coming into this round. Aidan Cale on top with 110 points, well clear of Braden Sagassa and Stephen Bull. No Stephen Bull on the grid tonight, interesting to note. No Braden Sagassa either. Adam Fanslow finished 4th for the round, so again, consistency is the key for him. And that was with some help of bonus points as well. Most positions gained and incident points. So he's done very well there. Marcus Hankey, Brett Barker, Guy Leach, Mark Heppel, Brendan Grosh and Ryan Jones were the top 10. Jonesy picked up a penalty last week as well there, Dan Yeaman. So that's obviously had an impact on his finishing result. But Aidan Cale in a league of his own at the moment, it would seem.
Yep, that's looking like a textbook way to get this season off to the start. Not mistaken, was that 2 poles for pole tonight? Yes, pole tonight as well. So, and so going on, he's just now do it from P10 and show that he's got the what it takes to cut through the front runners of the field. It's
just a sea of 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 at the moment for Aidan Cale. Like watching Mawson binary code, isn't it? So Aidan Cale first, Braden Sagassa second, Stephen Bull third last week in that points round. You will notice that there's extra bonus points on offer for a clean race, a 0x, and then you get a small leverage half the complement of bonus points for incidents 1, 2, and 3. Once you get beyond 3x, no bonus points. Goodbye. And now we've got the grid lining up for race 2 from 3:45 local server time, 19 km/h winds, easterly direction, 21 degrees the ambient, 65% humidity, partly cloudy conditions, but 35 scintillating heat on track. Dan Correa, John Baldwin front row, Eduardo Zamora, Guy Leach second row. Tzika and Fanslow third row, Brendan Grosh and Ryan Jones fourth row, Adam Hayne and Aidan Cale from 5. And I want to cover off an important bit of detail here that was different to what we've seen in previous incarnations of sprint racing in this slot as well. So Mark Heppel, Brett Barker from 6, Edward Rollo and Brad Hudson from 7. Forget about me, we're underway. Edward Rollo lost the jump, missed the jumps, absolutely botched start completely there. And slots back down into 19th position and pushing the proverbial uphill for the balance of the night. Patrick Savina in 20th position is the last of the running cars at the moment. Up the hill we go. All cars started heat 2. Zamora out to drivers right. Another gone. Big crash. Front side without the rear wing. Right front tire. And a rear wing and a front wing and just about everything. He'll be on the tow road but on the way home.
And no front wing for Grosh. He's out of this one as the car plows without its grunt grip. Little own cold tyres too. A little slide for Zamora out of turn 3. Checked up the inside lane including Tzika and Grosh. And a massive chain reaction there that we just saw.
And unfortunately, one thing you don't like to see, Dan, in open wheel racing is the checkup and that ominous, almost certain bloody contact of cars. They don't bang wheels or doors as well as the tin tops do, and you've seen why right there with poor old Adam Fanslow on the tow road. Adam Hayne also caught up in all of that, so too Brendan Grosh. So the 3 of them taken right out of contention as Daniel Correa continues to lead after the opening lap. Now, point of difference here, Dan, there's only 16 minutes in this race. So that's 1 minute more than what we've had in previous races in sprint racing in the sprint feature here, right? So that's point number 1. It was 10 and 15 in previous incarnations of Monday Night Motorsport on Traystar. I'm thinking Toyota 86s, I'm thinking Super Formula Light, of course. But the distinct point of difference is it's not just out-and-out sprint racing tonight. These guys have got to find a window of opportunity here to transit the lane. There's the compulsory pit stop, a splash and dash incorporated into this race. So, or am I reading that wrong? No, my apologies. I'm reading that wrong. 30-minute race, 1 compulsory pit stop, 45-minute race, 2 compulsory pit stops. For some reason, I was thinking that with a sprint race, they'd incorporated a pit stop as well. I think that might be the 86s, my apologies. So still trying to get my head around all the changes term on term. But I guess that actually works to the advantage of anyone not incorporated into that crash. There is no splash and dash. I was going to make the point that if Aidan Kale needed help at working his way through the field, which he doesn't, he's already up to 4, that he might have been able to use strategy to do that, but no, he doesn't have that opportunity to do so. So no, out-and-out sprint racing here it is. As I said, I did read that wrong. In the sprint round for the 86s, there is a compulsory pit stop in race 2. They are, of course, on Wednesday night with Adam Lavis this week. So the end of the second lap, and Dan Correa-Sarr, we talk about this all the time, don't we? Here comes Guy Leach down the inside of Ryan Jones. They're trying to catch Dan Correa-Sarr, but whilst they're squabbling over second position, they're not going to do themselves any favours. They got by John Baldwin on that last time through. So too was Aidan Kale. Here goes Leach. Jones says, I'll have second back, thanks very much. And Aidan Kale says, you know what, I'll take third off your arms as well if I can get the run up out of turn 4 and set myself up for turn 5. So Leach, that opportunity was there, and he might be about to pay heavily for it. Here comes Aidan Kale. Will he go to the inside at 5? Yes, he will. Thank you. Very nicely done. Here comes Aidan Kale. Dan Correa-Sarr's been caught. He's in a little bit of trouble here. But still making the most of the opportunity presented to him, Yeaman, by nailing the start, not running into trouble, and remaining at the front of the field. A big opportunity for him to convert this invert pole into a result.
Yeah, it's still looking steady. I mean, we are 1/4 distance through this one by time. And yes, he's looking like he's going to be caught up and passed on the run to turn 1 on this particular occasion now that Jones has got a tiny bit of breathing room to Kale by the looks of things. And likewise to Leach, they'll probably play a bit of leapfrog here if the stars align. Although Kale wanted to get up the inside of Jones, who left the door open there and has to shut that one back down as they all start trying to position themselves for this run to T1, and who's going to be the one who can take the lead at the end of this start-finish straight.
Round up onto the main straight now. Have a look at this. Here comes Ryan Jones. Here goes Aidan Kale. Jones on the defensive, 3 wide if you don't mind. Who's in the best position when they get to the corner? It is Jones for the moment, but Kale will be trying to nail the run through here. Jones goes a little bit wide. Kale trying to wedge the door open on the inside. There he goes. There goes Aidan Kale down the inside of Ryan Jones. The run up out of 4 is key and critical. Jonesy's nailed that, and Kale's still on his outside. Drag racing 2x2 in Formula 3 with thanks to Waste Options, and Correa-Sarr with the best seat in the house there watching on. Jones holding on somehow for the moment. Normally there's a lot to be said for the advantage you get through being on the outside out of 4. It's just a smoother run. Kale unable to convert it this time through. Leach, Barker, Baldwin, Purvis, Tzidakis, Lavis and Zamora all latched onto this battle as well. Jones on the defensive. Here comes Aidan Kale. Still Jonesy and DPR Racing leading this one at the Algarve. But for how much longer? There goes Aidan Kale down the inside. This time he's got him with a little bit of hip and shoulder on the way through. Wowee!
That was close. Oh, Correa-Sarr, no!
No, Dan's gone. He caught it, but not before all the damage was done. He's lost a bunch of spots. Drops now down into 8th, make it 9th. As Tzidakis goes around the outside. My goodness. And how close is it? How do you like it on a Monday night, ladies and gentlemen? 5.8 seconds covers the top 12. Jonesy returns serve on Aidan Kale. It's fair game if there's a little bit of bump and rub here. Aidan's already proven that. And Jones goes back to the lead. Jones, of course, trying to end the stranglehold the winning run, the streak that Aidan Cale is amassing here at this point in time. And he's going to make him work hard for his third win of the season, down the outside to 5. Oh, this is super stuff. And Guy Leach watching on, hoping that it all goes to the proverbial and he can come through and sweep up the pieces. Sees might part Moses style here for him in a moment. Right there! One chance is gone! Guy Leach to the inside of Aidan Cale! It's as though we knew it was coming, but I promised you this is a live broadcast! Unbelievable! Cale and Jones have come together! Leach is there trying to get back in front! Cale somehow finds his way to the front, but Travis has a party. I dare say he's going to have to look over that one with a microscope.
Yeah, we'll try and take a moment to see if we can get another angle, that one that maybe tells a different story there. There's already been a bit of a smart mouth on Aidan from Cale in reply to the incident report from Ryan Jones there. So that'll probably be it for now. What I have to say is, with the way Jones's car was launched, it's a minor miracle that Cale apparently walks away with that one unscathed and able to keep his pace up. But then again, I wouldn't say joys, but sort of the marvels of the way this all works sometimes.
Yep. Technology is a very strange thing, isn't it? Oh, but there's a couple of incidents being investigated here. Eduardo Zamora, Adam Funslow, that one, and then that one with Ryan Jones and Aidan Cale.
Go for
oh boy,
aerial shot.
But let's go on board with Aidan Cale as well. That this might be actually the better picture.
Oh. Fighting over the same bit of real estate.
Yep.
And Jones arguably moving more than Cale.
Jones had his nose in front. But yeah, right. I was going to say exactly the same thing. 2 into 1 doesn't go, and Jones didn't have enough of an overlap to actually come across and chop him off. So yeah, no harm, no foul there. The Aidan Cale, I think, play on, and he's still the effective leader of this race. But if race control says otherwise, I dare say Trav's just warming up the kettle at the moment, just settling in for a night of analysing and examining post-race incidents. Sharper the pen, mate. It might be worth an extra shot of coffee in the morning. Currently inside, Jonesy on the comeback trail has got back out there. Gets back to 12th. That was getting by Edward Rollo. Now the next target is Brett Bradbury. Then Eduardo Zamora. Adam Hayne, Brendan Grosh still on pit road out of business here. Adam Funslow has got back out a lap down. So he's just trying to salvage some points here, which, as we've said already so far this term, Dan, is so much more vitally important now because there's extra points on offer, etc., etc. Post-race investigation pending. It's not James Frencone, it's Ryan Jones and Aidan Cale, Racing Room, lap 5. So Trav has a party taking the same view of it as we have with regards to Racing Room there, and that'll be post-race investigation. Can't say I'm surprised.
Pick that one apart a little longer if you can, because that will take its own. Miraculously, both cars seemingly walking away undamaged despite the aerial acrobatics that Jones's car decided to put on for us there. So see how many more spots he can try and pick off. He'll swing around the outside of Eduardo Zamora to get to 10th. Although Zamora, no, gets run over there, I think, by Savina. No, pardon me, not Savina. Brett Bradbury, yes. Oh.
Unlucky. 2 more would be top 10 contenders robbed out of it, ladies and gentlemen. Bradbury on the tow rope. Zamora limping back to the lane surely with the damage sustained there. And all of a sudden, look at this. Adam Lavis in a cameo appearance on a Monday night behind the wheel. Puts himself in 6th, arguing for 5th with John Baldwin. Magnificent. Leach and Barker haven't let Aidan Cale get away, so is he somewhat minorly hamstrung? There is Brad Hudson going across the infield. That is Edward Rollo spinning round. Somehow that car doesn't look terribly damaged, but again, the iRacing Matrix might be taking a night off. I'd rather make an accurate than a rush decision, says Travis, as a party. Want to get a second set of eyes. I do not blame you. I don't blame you. And that's what our stewards team and Paul Wood and the like are there for, mate. So we look forward to hearing back from you at a later point in time, and good luck, rather you than me. Brett Barker in third. Continues to chase Guy Leach. He's just lost contact with them the last lap and a bit. 136.499. What are we heading for here? 10 laps, I'd say, with a 16-lap race. Oh, sorry, 16-minute race, 10 laps. And that's 1 minute more than what second races would be. Hence why I was getting myself confused with regards to where we have CPSs and where we don't. Because if you remember Dan Yeoman, and this was part of the reason I thought it was being introduced, there was a lot of hoo-ha and back and forward with regards to you blokes pulling a Swifty on everybody and going no stop at Okayama last term doing the fuel save. Marcus Watson hasn't been back on the grid since.
No, we appeared to have... I said it to Josh Winner, who was coordinating that season. It just happened to be a case of the circuit in Okayama as a track. It worked perfectly for that little exhibition of fuel saving and the 30-minute format with no compulsory stop mandates. So it really was a perfect set of circumstances. And then, I got showed up because I tried to go for the fuel save too late. Whereas I should have communicated. If I wanted to do it, I needed to do it from the get-go. As Mark saying to the inside of Alex Seekers, can't finish the move though. Turn one is how F1 liveried F3 cars here today. Go at it now. By turn 3, and Hankey looks to finish the move, but he leaves the door open. Seekers takes a short one up the apex, and he'll hang on to it. Nope, the outside does what you wanted it to do earlier, Zach. He gets the run down the hill towards the Toro VIP hairpin, and Jones is now in the fight here, trying to see if he can pick something off as there's a lock of the brakes. The Seekers slide, and Jones to bail out and make it 3 wide for a moment.
Sliding out of there. Jones bogging it down more so than anything else, but how's the comeback from him been? Back up into 9th and fighting for 8th and 7th. They won't catch John Baldwin with the amount of time left. White flag, I think, flies next time by the line. In fact, yeah, it will. Hayden Cale will see the white flag. He's got Guy Leach for company. And he had 4 seconds to the good in the last race. He broke clear of the pack early. He hasn't had it all his own way here. Race that was obviously overshadowed by the controversy of that incident between him and Ryan Jones, but nonetheless, he finds a way to the front. Now he's got to see off the thread of Guy Leach through that final lap. Jumping down the inside, gets by Suzuka's. Now next target, Marcus Hankey. John Baldwin is 6th. Adam Lavis has got by him. Good recovery, Lockie Purvis after a disappointing opening race. He's 4th. Brett Barker is 3rd. White flag flies. Here comes Heppel on the comeback trail as well. Not as good a comeback, you would argue, as what we've seen from Lockie Purvis, but Heppel finds himself back from 11th up into 10th now and has got there ahead of Daniel Correa-Sarr. So unfortunately for Daniel Correa-Sarr, not able to repeat the heroics of the opening race where he was in the top 10. But anything could happen on this final lap to change that narrative for him as they make their way around. Aiden Carl, Guy Leach, Brett Barker, Lockie Purvis and Adam Lavis. Here's Jones. No, not yet. Marcus Hankey needs to hold on for another 2/3 of a lap. Half a minute into overtime, or from overtime, I should say. It's throwing me. Normally we only have a 16-minute race in Porsches or supercars, and it's the it's not the feature, it's the sprint. So I'm getting my head around that still, but an extra minute of racing, we're not going to say no to that. Cale, Leach, Barker, Aiden Cale chalks up another victory, ladies and gentlemen, for 1-9. 1-1-1. 3 wins to start the season. 2 pole positions as well. No shortage of drama to contend with tonight, but Aiden Cale cements his place as the form favourite in Waste Options Formula 3 on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, and clean sweeps the run at the Algarve. Brilliant from Cale. 3 from 3. The winning ways continue, and he backs himself into the title or the tag of being the championship favourite very early in the piece. Clinical. But again, not without a little bit of drama along the way. Leach in for 2nd, Brett Barker, Lachlan Purvis, Adam Lavis, John Baldwin, Ryan Jones in for 7th, did get by Tzidakis. And, oh, hang on. Heppel's also got through to 9th. Marcus Hankey's dropped to 10th on the final lap. So a little bit of drama maybe there post-race to go back and have a look at as to how that battle finished between him and Ryan Jones. Then Daniel Correa-Sara in for 11th. Patrick Savina in for 12th. Here it is. Hankey just wide. Yeah, just wide. Now, did he trigger a slowdown or was there contact here? Let's have a look up the hill. Uh-oh.
No, good so far. Maintains the momentum, gets the job done.
The floodgates just opened. He couldn't get down and clamp on them. That's how it's all happened. Yeah, right. Wow. I mean, to be fair, they were nice and close, but there's a couple of drivers there who have managed to invent overtaking opportunities in parts of the circuit where you wouldn't normally have seen that in other parts of the evening. So, unfortunately, that's all she wrote. And Marcus Hankey comes home in 10th. Plus 6 minutes move of that race, Lockie Purvis, plus 13. We see that Patrick Savina finished 12th. Edward Rollo, Eduardo Zamora, and that Brad Hudson and Kevin Wakefield. Brett Bradbury, Adam Bunslov a lap down, and Adam Hayne and Brendan Grosh unable to see the checkered flag and salute the judges. So that was good. Real cutthroat, hard-fought stuff. We love our sprint racing. We wouldn't have it any other way. Great racetrack for it as well. We've got the race winner here standing by to have a chat with us in just a moment. 1.56 the winning margin, so a combined winning margin of 5.5 seconds tonight, if you don't mind, for Aidan Cale. He's torn it to shreds. Guy like Brett Barker, good to see them on the podium in the Injectors Online Racing stable. A couple of the guys that we saw either in SFL or the Legends or both last term becoming prominent features here on a Monday night. Lockie Purvis, so good recovery from him, and we'll hear from his teammate about what unfolded there for Lockie in just a moment. Adam Lavis, good to see him make the most of his opportunity to escape the booth on a Monday night. John Baldwin, Ryan Jones, Alex Tsitsikas, Mark Heppel and Marcus Hankey made up the top 10, and Dan Correa-Sara goes 10th and 11th for the night, and he's returned to the rig. Savina, Rollo, Zamora, Hudson, Wakefield finished up those that ended on the lead lap, and of course Bradbury and Funslow both ending a lap down. Plenty of drama in that one, Dan. We crammed a lot into 16 minutes.
Oh, we sure did indeed, and 16 of them finishing on the lead lap too when it comes to the driver count. Bradbury, Funslow finished the race. Unfortunately, they went a lap down in that process. Adam Hayne not finishing the race. Brendan Grosh also not finishing the race after starting it. With Chet Murray and Dale Jeffries non-starters by the contrary there to wrap things up here, at least on track for Wings and Slicks.
Very nicely done. Stay with us, folks. Bottom of the hour, 8:30 Eastern. We go to Mugello, the Pro-Am split of GT3 coming your way. And our first look at them for this term from the Mugello circuit. Great to see Mugello getting a run on the Gentleman's Sim Racing Club platforms for the first time in a while. Hello, Aidan Cale. This is becoming a standard procedure for us to be having a chat with you here at the end of a Formula 3 round with thanks to Waste Options. 2 rounds on the trot, but I tell you what, there's a lot to pick apart out of that 26 minutes worth of racing. Your thoughts on the fact that you've been able to retain an unbeaten run off the back of what we saw at Road America and do it in sprint mode where you've had to work through the field from 10th in race 2, mate. Nicely done.
Oh, first of all, thank you. Yeah, I would say it's a fluke, to be fair. Don't know how I got that win in the second race, but my goal was just to keep it clean, and kind of worked for the most part.
Well, you've taken me straight where I wanted to go. We've had a couple of looks at it. We know Race Control are going to investigate it after the fact. Your thoughts on? I mean, let's be honest. It was friendly fire and it was really heated stuff. Ryan Jones was here to race and race hard. He did. Unfortunately, a little bit of contact there. Amazingly, both of you go through without any real evidence of damage on the screen from at least what we could see. Your thoughts on the incident?
No comment.
No. Copy that. Although, that being said, I guess breathing a sigh of relief, if nothing else, the fact that you didn't sustain any damage in that, mate, so that you could continue to go about your business, and you're only just able to creep away from Guy Leach towards the end there.
Yeah, Guy had some really good pace there towards the end, and I think who finished third? Brett had some really good pace there as well at the end. So yeah, I was actually really struggling to pull a gap on those guys, especially when they had the slipstream as well. But yeah, no, it was good racing until lap 5. But you know, these things happen. It's motorsport and well, sim racing. But yeah, I'm not going to comment on it at the moment. In my opinion, it's pretty clear.
I take it you've got an appointment with Trav Zapata. You've got to go down and state your case in race control after you've spoken to us.
Yeah, might have a little bit of a discussion, but yeah, I mean,
looks like that won't be necessary.
Yeah.
I was going to say, bit of breaking news there, ladies and gentlemen, with Ryan Jones putting his hand up and owning it. Yeah, I mucked that up. So, in other words, no case to answer, no case to even state. Play on. Away we go to round 3, mate. I guess, really, from our standpoint, we much prefer to see racing end on the racetrack and not see anything happen post-race that obviously change the outcome or the narrative. So it's obviously nice to be able to get to that point where you're talking to us only 3 or 4 minutes after the fact and no further action, everything else is good, and you can sign, seal and deliver the night, walk out of here, 3 wins to the good, and set your sights on the Nürburgring next week.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the fact that Ryan, like, he owned up to it as well in the private comms, and like, you know, that's fair enough. Like, it's better than what most guys out there would be saying. So, you know, admitting it is, yeah, I mean, that's, you know, clean slate already. So, yeah, like, you know, bring on Nürburgring. He's really quick in these cars. So, yeah.
So are you as well. Obviously, disappointment, if I can detour on the way to talking about the Nürburgring for a moment. Disappointing for Lockie Purvis for things not to go his way in race 1, but a great fight back to 4th in race 2.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, he's been hit with some unlucky circumstances in the last couple of rounds and, you know, made a few mistakes, but, you know, that's a part and parcel with racing. And we've got a new recruit in Mark Heppel who's, yeah, blisteringly quick in these cars.
Okay, so there's a bit of news that we weren't aware of. Can we just get a shot of Mark Heppel on the screen there for a moment, please, Dan Yeaman? Oh, there we go. Okay, so see, this threw me off because as soon as you said it, I was like, hang on, he's not listed with the name, a team name next to him on our timing screen at the moment. That'll obviously be very quickly fixed. And I didn't even really pay that much attention because we didn't get a close-up shot of him with the paint livery there, mate, because normally we've just associated him with playing white for so often. So that is, you're right, it's a good recruit to have in the stocks there, in the ranks there at 1-9. And he brings a lot to the table, especially at open wheelers.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, he was really quick at Road America, and we've had some pretty good practice sessions with him, and, you know, just having a whole lot of fun, just doing some little impromptu races. So, yeah, we thought might as well join us if you're doing all these practice sessions. So, yeah, it's he's been really, really good and giving us pointers as well in just, you know, tyre management and not overworking the tyres in these cars.
No one else obviously keen to come and have a chat with us at the moment, mate, so you're it. Let's divulge a little bit further here. The Nürburgring, the next stop, it'll be the Formula 1 Grand Prix configuration. It'll be, as you saw on the screen there a few moments ago, folks, it'll be back to 30-minute racing, so strategy comes into it a little bit. Your thoughts on that circuit from your standpoint, because, again, everybody's now going to be looking to you as the benchmark of this series, and it's only the end of round 2, but you couldn't ask for a better start of the season, and no doubt you'd be hoping to continue that with that trend next week in Germany.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you know, I'd say I'm pretty lucky getting these 3 wins on the trot. I wouldn't say I've had the complete pace over the rest of the field in these races, but you know, yeah, 3 wins is a good start. I got a 0x in that first race, so just getting those, you know, getting those bonus points, which has been even more crucial now with the bonuses for 0x's and 1x's and 2x's being increased. So it puts a bit more meaning onto actually trying to stay on the track and bring it home nice and cleanly.
Indeed. What else is on Aidan Cale's racing itinerary this week, please?
Not much. Oh no, a little bit. I think we've got F4 at Red Bull Ring on Wednesday, and then I've got an Indy Light League on the weekend as well, mixed in with some other practice sessions, and just enjoying my time on the sim and just doing some laps of tracks I love doing.
Have you had a chance, you mentioned Indy, and I know it's one of your favourites. Have you had a chance to take in what happened in Long Beach in the real world?
Actually, I haven't seen the race, honestly, so it was on my to-do list tonight as I came straight home and on the sim, so I'm definitely going to be watching that tonight now that you mentioned something. But nah, Scotty McLaughlin fan all the way. Alex Pillow's really quick at the moment. I mean, he's just proving that he's just, just a class above the rest of the field. So, well, until Long Beach, I haven't seen the results, so I'll have a watch tonight.
No spoilers from me. I won't ruin it for you. Go and enjoy it. And obviously, the next time we see IndyCar racing in the real world comes up on Mother's Day morning. You'll be able to watch it from the Brickyard, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Aidan, anyone else you'd like to thank while you've got the floor?
I'd just like to thank the boys that have, the boys from the team of 19, and just, I enjoy prepping with them. We're having a lot of fun, and just enjoying our time on the sim. Not taking it too seriously, but yeah, just doing what makes us enjoy it, and I think that's the whole point of sim racing. But yeah, just those guys and the team owner, and just the 19 boys.
I love that. Not taking it too seriously, but no comment with regards to lap 5. Very nicely done from you. Could you catch up, Aidan? Well done, mate. 3 from 3 to start the season. 2 poles to go with that as well. Dominant force in the early stages of Waste Options Formula 3. So good luck with everything else going on, the Indy Lights, the Formula 4, etc. We'll see you when we get to Germany next Monday night, mate. Thanks for your time.
Awesome. Thanks, Zach.
And I know that I can divulge on this a little bit further now with Dan Yeaman. I love that. I mean, Aidan's obviously come in and waited until we've had the all clear come through that there's no case to answer. Still not going to obviously divulge into it from his standpoint, but we can. It left I'm not going to lie, it'll be coming up 10 years ago this October. Those of us that were lucky enough to be working there in whatever capacity in the media centre at Mount Panorama in the Real World Supercar Bathurst 1000, we left the track with a nasty taste in our mouth in 2016 because there was such controversy surrounding the finish of the race. And obviously there was the appeal, and everything was in limbo, everything was provisional, and we left the circuit not really knowing the outcome, who'd won, etc., etc. Left a real bad taste in my mouth. Ever since then, whenever we can have a situation like that, whether it's a post-race investigation or not, sorted and taken care of ASAP on the night, that is always going to get the tick of approval in my book, because we, as commentators, love to be able to, comment on something and stand by it. Nothing worse than calling someone to victory and then the audio being no good because the results have been changed after the fact.
Yeah, that is indeed one of those things. I guess in the real world, there's a whole lot more process and stuff to it that can slow things down. But yeah, even so, sometimes it can be a bit of an unfortunate side effect. Just trying to dot the I's and cross the T's, even here with a sim race. But yeah, it looks like that's going to be has been all sorted, and we don't need to worry about that here tonight with this result.
It's right about one thing though, at the pace of Ryan Jones and Brett Barker and Guy Leach was the other one he mentioned, not to mention the guys within his own stable. There are ominous threats there to Aidan Cale and this winning run and the potential length thereof. But what Aidan has above everybody else at the moment has been track position and consistency. There's been a couple of guys that have whether it be through fault of their own or not, run into trouble, and that has hamstrung their process and progress. But for Aidan Cale, near on faultless to start the campaign, and I guess there's no pressure on him, but everybody's going to be looking to see whether he can continue on with it.
Yep, but whilst it's early days, I get the feeling this is a pretty good indication now between both the 30-minute format and the sprint format. It's looking pretty good so far. You're probably going to need to have something a bit more drastic get in his way to change this what we see as a form guide here to kick off this season.
So from an IndyCar favourite to a Formula One favourite, now, of course, the schedule visits the old venue for the European Grand Prix, the Nürburgring in Germany, then on to the Miami International Autodrome. Now, that's the same day as the Formula One Miami Grand Prix, whether it's delivered or not, who knows, who cares, but we'll be at the MIA for sprint racing on May 4. Then to Spa, Suzuka, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Then we break away to one of our Formula 3 favourites locally, the Adelaide Street Circuit. Then we go back to an IndyCar favourite where the real world was this morning, the Long Beach Circuit in California, and an interesting one around there where it's just 30 minutes in length, no sprint racing attached to that. We do have sprint racing from Long Beach in the Porsche Cup this week. And then on to Circuit Park Zandvoort for the finale for 45 minutes. And that'd want to be compulsory viewing. That'd want to be enticing and entertaining from first until last with 2 compulsory pit stops, because I look at Zandvoort, and if it's not sprint racing, I get worried about how quickly it could well become slow and processional, and we just don't do that here on a Monday night. But yes, looking forward to Zandvoort on June 15, all on the back of the opening weekend of the FIFA World Cup and, of course, the 24 hours of Le Mans. So a lot to look forward to there. Long Beach follows a public holiday weekend in the progressive and civilised parts of the country anyway. So yes, all to look forward to. We're going to take a break. The platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, no interest from anyone but Aidan Cale to come and have a chat with us there. Hopefully that's because they're lining up in Waste Options GT3 tonight. Our focus is on the Pro-Am split, but as per usual, Dan Yeaman and I will go back and revisit the results from Waste Options GT3 Pro and also Am once we're done. Mugello, the venue, 60 minutes the journey, 2 compulsory pit stops, etc., yada, yada. You know the drill. I've been doing it for a while. This 25th season on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Up and away. We're slowly but surely easing into it. Unless you're Aidan Cale, of course, because he's 3 from 3 and everybody else is playing catch-up over the remaining 8 weeks of the campaign. We do it with thanks to Disruptive Labs, Waste Options, Trophy AI, merch.tgsrci.com and Flash Graphics. We take this opportunity to grab a break. A Monday night on the back end of Easter and school holidays. It's good to be back in some sort of regular routine rhythm and programming. A break and back. We're off to Mugello on the other side. Waste Options Monday Night Motorsport across Facebook and YouTube. These are the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. This is Monday Night Motorsport with thanks to Waste Options. And we have made our way over from Portugal to Italy, from Algarve and Portimão to Tuscany and Mugello. And one of our favourites in MotoGP, of course, every time we come here for the Italian Grand Prix, but fast becoming a must-watch stop on any calendar when the GSRC circles visit this part of the world. A smidgen over 5.5 kilometres this racetrack. It did host, famously, a Formula One Grand Prix in the COVID year of 2020. And it was a three-parter. They had to red flag the race that many times. It was unbelievable. It was a marathon night sitting on the lounge watching the racing unfold and the stop-start staggered nature of it. We haven't been back to this venue since, unfortunately, because I think it was one of the best Formula One races we'd seen in quite some time. We have magnificent news to report off the top, ladies and gentlemen. We've had all sorts of drama unfold here during the intermission. I'll update you on that as we get going. But we do have over 35 cars in the server tonight. How good is that? We're into overtime as far as qualifying is concerned. There is the lay of the land. 5.19 kilometres. This circuit, 9:21 local server time. That'll obviously change when we go into race server in just a moment. So let's focus on the nook and cranny of it. The reality is we're dry at the moment. Hopefully that stays the same for the race. Last week, of course, we got term 2 of 2026, season 25 for this magnificent club underway. It was a race that was won by Sean Bonici from Matt Schmidtke and William Ong. Derek Fitzgerald in for 4th place. Paul Wood was 5th and Jordan Pianazzola was 6. 4 different manufacturers represented in that top 6. There were 6 different manufacturers represented in the, or is it 7? 6 different manufacturers represented in the top 10 last week. There they are: McLaren, Lambo, Mercedes, Porsche, Aston, 7, Ferrari and Ford, all represented in the top 10 last week. 3 Porsches and 2 Mercs, so very German-heavy top 10 at the moment in the early stage of this series. But Whiskey Business Racing off to a flying start with 157 points for Sean Benici and 154 for Matt Schmidtke. Remembering, Dan Yeoman, that was the 90-minute Enduro. What a way to start the campaign, right? We've had a 90-minute Enduro at Road America only 4 weeks ago, and last week, fresh off a 2-week break, first cab off the rank. Here's another 90-minute Enduro for you boys, but it was good fun at Spa.
Yeah, it's certainly not something we typically see as the opener, I feel like, for this category. But nevertheless, it certainly worked its treat pretty nicely. Then I think whilst, as I said, not watching the Pro or AM splits live tonight, maybe a quick look here at how things went in those 2 splits before we go to the grid here for Pro Am.
Indeed. The race, of course, won very comfortably by Richard Mitchum from Daniel Edmonds and Eli Donaldson were your top 3 there, of course. Eli, the defending champion in that series. And in the AM split last week, so a very Ford-heavy top end of the field there, as you can see. In the AM split last week, we, of course, had victory for Jonathan Harris from Joel and Hansen and Mitchell Vanderven. They were your top 3, 4th for Brad Keck and 5th for Dale Sharp. There have been a couple of bits of moving and shaking. Drivers moving from one server to another from week 1 to week 2. That was all handled by Adam Lavis, but it's left us with a 39-car grid here for the opening 60-minute race of 4 in this 14-race, 10-round GT3 season with thanks to Waste Options. Although I'm sad to report that Ryder Dakin, Tom Pritchard, Rob Hill and Martin Lipsky are yet to take their spot on the starting grid, so we could be down to 35 before we even get going. And at the front of the field, Harrison Den Brinker will be on pole position alongside Derek Fitzgerald, Jason Wilkinson and Dane Snadden from 2, Matthew Tassers and Neil De Bruin from 3. So there's some new names here that Dan and I have got to get our head around that we're not familiar with. Neil De Bruin and Jordan Pianazzola, then Janash Ragwani, Sean Benici, Paul Wood make up the top 10, the first 5 rows of the grid. Weather, 4:01 local server time. They're now into that progressive and civilised concept known as daylight saving, that period of the year, ladies and gentlemen, over there in Portugal. Winds are southwesters at 237 degrees, 20 degrees the ambient, 29 on track, cloudy, dry conditions, 73% humidity. We can tell you that Thorn Wiggett's going to start alongside James Lawrence on row 6, David Bernays alongside Adam Lavis on row 7, Matt Schmidtke alongside Jesse McManaman on row 8, David Baz, Warren Ibert from 9, Richard King and Brett Bradbury from 10, Matthew Gerard and Nathan Michael, Ben Goring, Brad Coates, Eduardo Zamora, Jackson Russ, Cooper Fran, Stephen Gallacher, Greg Heaney, Mark Heppel, Anthony Connors, Dale Atkins, Peter Foster, Andrew Neal and Brian Bullock will make up this field. Nathan Michael is starting from pit lane. That I can tell you for certain. Non-starters include Nathan Michael, Ryder Dakin, Tom Pritchard and Rob Hill. Trav Azzopardi is overseeing this one. Martin Lipsky's overseeing this one from race control and Trav Azzopardi as well. So they're both in this service, so I'm not sure how they've managed to do that. I would hazard a guess that one of them was meant to be overseeing the AM split. But we're moving off behind the safety car now. We're ready for a start here. 60 minutes the journey. And yes, we've got a little bit of paperwork to do here with regards to catching up on a couple of bits and pieces. We'll do that as we get going. This is round 2 action. The platform's the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. The Pro-Am split for the first time this term. Mugello in Italy, the venue. And we are ready to rock and roll. 60-minute race, which means 2 compulsory pit stops throughout the course of the hour. And of course 2 when we get to a 90-minute race and 1 in the second race of any sprint round as well. We do go sprint racing, but not until round 4, ladies and gentlemen, at Brands Hatch. Onto the main straight they come, ready to rock and roll. It's Ford and Porsche on the front row. You've got an Aston or 2 in the top 10, so too McLaren, Mercedes and Ferrari. So it's a very, very manufacturer-friendly field, this one. We're underway on a Monday night. Let's go. Very vast array of variety and diversity when it comes to car selection in this field, and that's not something we have really associated with Pro in the last 2 seasons. Very Ford-friendly this term, very Porsche-friendly last term, and they're the 2 manufacturers that lead us at turn 1. Harrison de Brinker, a very good start from him. Derek Fitzgerald tucks in behind, then Dane Snadden. So 3 different manufacturers in the top 3 earlier. Clean start from all and sundry. Snadden having a look at Fitzgerald, but then tucks back in. We've had a safe start. All 35 away. Nathan Michael joins from pit lane and is well off the field at the moment, about 11 seconds off the nearest car on the racetrack. That is Brian Bullock. Whether that move to start from pit lane will save him a little bit of time on pit lane later remains to be seen. Off goes Warren Oberts! Steering across in front of the field, Brodie Kostecki style, but not being collected somehow. Well done. Fancy me being able to weave a supercars reference into the commentary within the first 30 seconds. Very rarely does that happen because so often do I not watch it these days. A great start from Matthew Tassis, who has got himself up into 8th position there with a very not dissimilar look about his race car to what we saw on the Whiskey Business Racing entries for the longest period of time. Whiskey Business, of course, running very different looking liveries. They've done away with blue and yellow. They've brought in green and grey for this iteration of WBR. So Matthew Tassis there with no name next to his team listing at the moment, running a Parramatta Eels tribute livery at the moment. And that'll, of course, be purely because they've actually got something to gloat about for a change after their win over the Canterbury Bulldogs yesterday. And hello to Lockie Mansell on that note, if he's tuning in, because he didn't think that they were a chance. And I said, you watch, they're playing Canterbury, they'll win. And I said that because my mother was standing alongside me at the time. She's not watching the broadcast. I know that. She'll be watching The Floor on Channel 9. And she's one of those Bulldogs diehard supporters. She bleeds blue and white. And she just looked at me when I said that, and she said, do you want to walk home? And I was like, no, but I would like to actually wait until Sunday to see whether I'm proven right or not. And sure enough, I was proven right, and she's been very silent ever since. So 2.5 minutes in, Harrison de Brinker, a new name for us. In fact, there are a few of those down Yemen, and I guess that's one of the real promising signs for the platforms of the GSRC. Each term, new names popping up. We say it all the time. Tom Weggett's been in the comments section there for a while. He's now out on track. Matthew Tassis is a new name. Harrison de Brinker is a new name, along with all the regular protagonists, and one Adam Lavis, who never gets a chance to race GT3. They're all out there in amongst the thick of it. Great to see new names coming and going on the platforms of the GSRC. It's the only way the club continues to grow and thrive and obviously elongate its existence. As we have a look here, a battle for second on in earnest, Dane Snadden having a look at Derek Fitzgerald. The club would cease to exist if it weren't for members continuing to show up.
Oh, well, exactly. It is the essential foundation for any series to have, obviously, the club members interested and coming back to race, of course. So, whilst this might be the Pro-Am split, not considered the cream of the crop, yeah, it's healthy.
Last turn.
Oh, yeah, big issue for David Baz.
And Jackson Russ was there with him as well. They're both able to get back going. Russ via the pit lane. Baz might there. No, he's going to continue on and now go into pit lane. So he realises he's got an issue. Yes, the rear end of that car does not look happy. They're both on pit road. I just saw the off-track alert light up and I was like, hang on, whoa up. We've got some issues at turn 1. Eduardo Zamora's got to slow down, the final quarter, I should say. Eduardo Zamora had a slow down to serve there momentarily. He drops down to 29th. We've still got 35 running on the racetrack. That's Fracas has helped Nathan Michael gain 2 spots. Back to 33rd now. Janish Ragwani on screen. Now we go back to Paul Wood, our chief steward here on the platforms of the Gentleman's Sim Racing Club. He'll have a bit of work to do tonight, I would imagine, reviewing all the incidents across the 3 splits from this round of the series. Hopefully race control don't need to lean upon him too vigorously. at the end of the night, and that's nice to see that we've got all 3 race control booths occupied tonight, as a party Lipsky and Glenn Arnott looking after GT3 Pro as well. Many hands make light work around here, and again, the club would be nothing without its members, but sometimes it's the guys that step up and do the thankless jobs that need to be actually publicly acknowledged. Someone's got to do it. Those guys put their hand up to do it, and we greatly appreciate it. There is Matthew Gerrard in 19th at the moment for Frog Leap Juice Racing. So, Wild Ride Motorsport lead the way. Derek Fitzgerald in 2nd, Whiskey Business Racing 3rd, Northwind Motorsport 4th, and Team 77 Motorsports in there in position number 5. Good array. Oh, hang on. Did you just see what I saw on the screen there, Dan? It looked like there was some sort of debris or precipitation falling. Was someone dragging grass or rock back onto the racetrack there out of the final corner on the run down to turn 1?
Must have been. I didn't quite catch it. No, apologies. I'm doing my lovely thing of being a producer here. Something that's not the race right this second, because the weather forecast is clear skies, not a hint of rain in the vicinity of the circuit now, let alone in the next couple of hours, which will take us well beyond the finish of the race. So something out there, it should either have come from the gravel or a car.
Indeed. Can I just publicly say as well, as I mentioned, a lot's gone on in the last fortnight, but can I just publicly acknowledge my little sister? You might remember from previous conversations here on the platforms of the GSRC, I ducked off home last year to surprise her for a 30th and missed a Monday Night Motorsport in the process. She's just delivered the news to the world of social media that I've known for 2 months. It's been the hardest secret to keep ever, that she's expecting in October. So that's hugely exciting times for her, and not so exciting times for Uncle Zach's wallet, because it's just going to be taxed by another toddler for another 18 years. I'm now going to have one niece, one nephew from one sister, and either a niece or nephew from the other. And they're just going to find and reinvent ways in which to spend my money for me. So that's going to be good fun. Down the main straight, this is Dane Snadden on Derek Fitzgerald. The run to turn 1, and Snadden had his nose in front, but Fitzgerald will be there when they get to the braking zone if they don't come together beforehand. Fitzgerald down the inside, holds on to 2nd for the moment. Snadden back into 3rd. Neil de Bruin is 5th. Jason Wilkinson in behind him. These two having out in the battle for 2nd at the moment. It's resulting in 2 things. One, Harrison Den Brinker is just disappearing into the early afternoon there. He's on his way, right? He's gone. And secondly, the margin is 4 seconds already. 1:45.332, the fastest lap of the race for the Mustang driver last time through for Wild Ride Motorsport. Then secondly, this is actually, the more these two continue to squabble, the closer Jason Wilkinson and Neil de Bruin and Jordan Pianazzola are likely to be as they make their way through. Have a look at them. Magnificent stuff. Great little scrap here, and equally exciting for us as well, Yeaman, because it's a Porsche and a Ferrari, so it's 2 different manufacturers having at it. That's what we like to see.
Yeah, you can see we are getting decent diversity here. 4 in the top 5 manufacturers, that is. Because there are 2 Porsches here in the form of Fitzgerald and Jason Wilkinson behind Snadden here in frame, and then a Mercedes of the dual Mercedes of Paul Tassis and Paul Wood, and Sean Bonici in a lead McLaren. So that makes us 6 manufacturers in the 10. It's looking like we've got a decent share here as riding on board with the Porsche and Fitzgerald, and just watching to see, is there a move coming from Snadden, and it seems increasingly likely that there will be the first opportunity that can be taken will be taken here.
Start finish line and down the main straight. A couple of bits of housekeeping to do. So obviously you might have been wondering why my good mate here alongside Andrew Neal were doing a bit of overtime yesterday. I feel partly responsible for throwing the spanner in the works there because, again, I mentioned my mother there a few moments ago. Brad Coates avoidable contact with Warren Ibe at 15-second penalty. That was lap 1, so that's an invoice coming Brad Coates' way, again to be applied post-race. I got a mercy call from Mum on Friday afternoon. I'm out at Paxton Pub waiting to get my hair cut because the top floor is where the hairdresser is. One of my former karting mates, Brittany, did a great job on the wasn't working with much, but did a great job on it. That was Warren Ibert's wild ride, and again, how did they miss him? I'll never know. As we have a look at some replays here, and Mum says that her friend Desley was unable to go with her to the James Rain concert at the University of Newcastle at Bar of the Hill there that night. They said, "What are you doing? Can you go and fill the spot?" I said, "Leave it with me. I'll see what I can do." Okay. So Coates obviously into Ibert got some help, so that explains why Ibert was spearing through. But obviously, again, very lucky for Coates' sake as well as Warren. Warren can recover from that, but had he been poleaxed like a pinata by anybody else, David Baz in a world of hurt there. That was the replay of the incident coming onto the main straight. They've both taken the pit lane with what we suspect was some rear suspension damage. Yep, you can see it there, evidential on David Baz's car. Have a look at this battle. Derek Fitzgerald, Dane Snudden still raging at the moment. So, yeah, I got a phone call asking if I could make myself available to go to the concert. I was already committed with Andrew Neal to broadcast Friday Night Motorsport. At the time, I messaged Adam Lavis, I messaged Andrew Neal saying, "Boys," I didn't tell them why, I may have to bail. I may have to go to Newcastle tonight. It's very rare that I do this, of course. Put a social life first before a work life. But then, then as we have a look, these two are having at it, and Snadden has finally won out. Snadden has finally won out in the battle with Derek Fitzgerald. So well done, Dane Snadden. Points for perseverance there. The Ferrari goes through to second, and now they can try and work on that 6.5 second deficit to Harrison Den Brinker, because he's just checked out and taken off. And all that damage over... Brett Bradbury's gone. All that damage has been done over the first 6.5 laps of this race. It could be game over. It could be Den Brinker's to lose, as we have a look at Brett Bradbury rejoining now in 25th position. A wild ride for him a few moments ago. There was a bit of blinky billing going on. I want to say that was Jason Wilkinson, Neil De Bruin and Jordan Pianazzola. Janish Ragwani in 7th position. So to go back and finish the story, so originally I was planning to go and work with Andrew Neal that night. Then I got a message from Adam Laver saying, Yeaman's available to produce. All good and well. I said, can you get Yeaman to commentate and Neal to produce, because this is what's happened. And then all of a sudden, Yeaman, and you can pick up the story from here, which resulted in you blokes being on air yesterday afternoon for a Sunday Arvo replay, straight after the Supercars, so points there. Neil De Bruin in 5th spot at the moment, getting that blinky bill under control. It's Jordan Pianazzola that's blinky billing. My apologies. There you go. So it's Pianazzola, not De Bruin. Okay, so that's an issue for... I knew it was one of them, but I couldn't pick up exactly which one it was. Pianazzola now down to the inside. I'd be giving that a wide berth as well if I was Neil De Bruin, considering that the packet loss can sometimes cause all sorts of issues if you're running interference, ghosting, whatever. We have seen incidents caused by packet loss before. The interesting thing for mine was about 9:45 or 10 o'clock, somewhere around there. I'm still at the concert, 6 rows from the front. Mum's having the time of her life. I'm enjoying James Rain belting out Reckless. And I get a message from Bondi saying, what happened to the broadcast? And I was like, I know nothing. I played innocent because there was no correspondence coming through from me. I know absolutely nothing, and it wasn't until I logged into Discord this morning, Dan, after a full weekend of travel and getting set back up and shopping and whatever else, that I finally saw what had happened. But thankfully, you blokes were able to get it away yesterday, nonetheless, albeit 48 hours later than what we might have been expecting it. But at least the season opener of the GEC did go to air, and I thank you and Andrew Neal for covering for me eventually.
Yeah, how's it go? I put my hand up saying, look, I should be able to do this. That was, however, me looking at my work schedule saying, I'm finishing at 7 p.m. on the other side of the city of Melbourne from where I live. Thinking, I'm still close to the city centre. I'm just going to get a tram and then I can get a train and get home. That shouldn't be too much of a fuss. But when you combine... I finished maybe about 5 minutes later than I was expecting to. Then a tram that was about 3 or 4 minutes late. Rush in off the tram to Southern Cross Station for the Melbourneites where that is. It's our major. Yep. It's both a major metro train hub as well as our interstate regional train hub as well. on one side of the CBD. And I knew it was getting tight, so I bolt into the station, start running up the stairs from the street level entrance to get to the concourses before we can go back down to the platforms and watch my last train for 15 minutes depart the platform. And basically, watched the last train that was going to get me home with about 10 minutes to spare to meet up with Andrew to do the broadcast live. Go out, and whilst in theory, I did grab that next train home, I could have walked in the door if I'd left Andrew to basically do the broadcast intro. Once I told Andrew that, yeah, look, I'm in the door at best on start time for the broadcast, he just said, we'll just do this one on replay and work with what we got after the fact. So that is the torrid tale, if you will, of my Friday night, and thinking I could pitch in and do it live, and it turns out apparently that was not to be the case.
No, but at least you're able to go back and cover it off. And we're no stranger to replays here on the platforms of the GSRC after turn 1 and Thursday nights, let me tell you. So, no, I got the shock of my life yesterday after having no correspondence with you blokes over the course of the weekend. I was walking through the shopping centre and I got this alert. Oh, the GSRC is live. And I was like, okay, so there's the broadcast. It hasn't done a complete Harold Holt. It is there, so no, that was good to see. Now, 14 minutes gone. In fact, I've just lost SDK timing for a moment there, so hopefully the link will come back. In the meantime, we pick up Matthew Tassis there in the entry.
Oh, yeah.
Behind him is Paul Wood. Hang on. No, Jason Wilkinson we've picked up, and there in behind him is Jordan Pianazzola. I was like, what the hell's going on there? So Den, Snadden, Fitzgerald, Wilkinson and Pianazzola. That's what happens when you start flying blind, ladies and gentlemen. You've got no one there. You're up the creek without the paddle.
I think it got stuck there as we were just talking about it.
Trouble. Matthew Jarrett.
Yeah, he's had a moment. As has Mark Heppel somewhat recently as well. Back into this replay for Heppel. Dropping the F3 car for the Aston GT3, and gets the rear unsettled. They're trying to throw it into turn 1, and that comes around for him. That was back on their lap 10 for him. Gerard. Oh, there's a lot of cars picking up slow down flags now all of a sudden. Also on lap 10 for Gerard. He's going to come out of turn 1, and it's going to pitch around on him, and snap.
Jeff Adams is loving the para paint, and we saw that in focus there a few moments ago. Matthew Tassis. There it is. The Eels above the Storm at the moment. It's very rare to say that. But again, as a Storm fan, I wouldn't back them to beat Cessnock at the moment. The mighty GoWnS. I'd be putting 50 on the Goies the way Melbourne are going. Down the main straight we go, 18 minutes gone. Where are we lap time wise? Bang on the 1 minute 45. So good, because that helps make the calculations of this so much bloody easier. I've had an absolute nightmare of it over the last couple of weeks trying to get the numbers right, haven't I? So at 145 and 2 is 332 is 7. So 8 times 7 is 56. And put 2 on the back of that to get you to 59 and a half. That'll cover off your pit lane transit time. So from a numbers standpoint, 7.5. I did say 7, didn't I? 8 7s are 56. So I need to actually do 8 times 4, 8.5 times 4. So we should be looking at no more than 34 laps tonight. Watch that come back and bite me on the backside at a later point. How's the action tonight? I'm out of action with a back injury at the moment, says Brad Washer. And Drive with Bob is asking Jeff why he's not out on the racetrack. And actually, I'm glad you asked that question, so that saves me doing the same. But yes, the action tonight, not too bad. We've had a good opening stint here in GT3 Pro-Am. We've gone off on a bit of a tangent. We've covered off some housekeeping. There's one bit more of that I need to come back to, and it's got to do with the way you're hearing me through the second part of the evening, ladies and gentlemen, rather than anything else. I'll amuse you with that story of technology and its weird and wacky ways in just a tick. Richard King there in 18th position is on screen at the moment, and behind him is Matthew Jarrett. Good to see Risky Business Racing out there in force this evening. Not in the battle on screen at the moment, but just behind them, Greg Heaney, Ben Goring and Dale Atkins are all arguing over the same piece of real estate, 23rd, 24th and 25th. Greg's made no secret of the fact that he's well represented. Oh, no! Matthew Judd! The Ford has just snapped hard right on him! Down into the kitty litter at the final corner, and he drops now down to 22nd position. Ah, yes, kids sport getting in the way for Jeff Adams. The juggle, the struggle of the juggle can be real, can't it? When we're all trying to make ends meet and make work and life happen around everything, including commitments for family, be it immediate or otherwise, relatives, cousins, nieces, nephews, etc., etc. And I say that because I had to actually go and spend some time on Friday. So before all hell broke loose on Friday, I'd already had it in my game plan that I was going to go and see the niece and nephew, babysit them for an hour so my sister could attend to a job. She's, believe it or not, here's a little bit of celebrity scoop for you. Our dear friend on the platforms of the GSRC, Matthew Gerard, down there on the inside. Watch this. Oh, jeez. That's a weird one, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, same time, I'm not entirely stunned that it's happened in a sense, because there's we are back live now. Actually, you'll have to remove the
that's all right.
replay signage going on there. There we go. Better late than never.
That was a bit of Snagglepuss type action there, exit stage right. The interesting thing out of all of that was, for the first part of that, it looked to me like it was a Ford Mustang impersonating a Porsche Cup car. A little bit of pogo sticking going on there. That was weird.
Yeah,
Gordon Pianozola, Adam Lavis to pit lane as well, Dan, the first round of pit stops.
Yep, starting to see it now here. So we're end of lap 12 and about 20 minutes in. So yeah, we're right on the money, just over 1/3 distance to be able to start diving into the pits. Looks like I might need to work on something to try and get this behaving.
You work on stabilising your end. I managed to conquer mine during the intermission and with some assistance from you as well. As we say, again, I was doing the numbers there, ladies and gentlemen. So 8 times 7 is 56. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. 8 times 7 becomes 8 times 4, and then 2 on the back of that. So we're looking at no more than 34 laps tonight. I feel better now that I've done it the second time through, working out the calculations thereof. It should be simple after all these years, but trust me, it's not. Harrison de Brinker is your race leader for Wild Ride Motorsport. Dane Snadden is second. Derek Fitzgerald is third. So Snadden has gapped Fitzgerald since that overtake was complete a few moments ago. We go back in the pack.
Right,
have a look.
McMenamin and Cooper Friend.
Thank you. You know that you're my eyes, ears and voice at the moment, Dan, because there's nothing coming through on my screen whilst you're trying to sort out those teething problems. Coates, of course, has that 15-second penalty hanging over him. McMenamin is there riding defence at the moment. There it all comes back to you, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Wood to pit lane at this particular point in time. Back down the main straight we go. And Cooper Friend enjoying, a baptism by fire on the platform of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club in many respects. He's arrived in the last couple of terms and made his mark immediately. Now he's going to try and find his way through. Got to try and get by McMenamin first, then go out in pursuit of Coates. Then, of course, Matt Schmidtke's just ahead of them. Schmidtke will be here on Thursday night for Formula V for us. Rather his ears than yours, Dan, as they make their way down. 23.5 minutes gone. So, again, right in the pit window here. Things are going nicely for anybody that's wanting to play that even down the middle sort of game at the moment, whereby you pit around that 20-minute mark, pit again at the 40-minute mark, make it home from there. There will be a few that do the traditional, burn the tank, fill the tank, burn the tank, and then splash and dash. Harrison Den Brinker seems to be one of those. There's Brad.
We're back with
he's
Brinker
the one
here.
on screen at the moment. So
Yeah,
first place. I'm not sure what's going on. STK just doesn't want to cooperate tonight, Dan.
Yeah, we're having a great night tonight.
Aren't we? Oh dear.
As a bit
The
of
system's just not used to you being here on a Monday night. They're so used to Adam Lavis. That's what I'm going to say.
Imagine if that was the magic touch that was required for all this. Importantly for Den Brinker, he's going here for a 15th lap, which is going to take us to over 25 minutes complete in this race now.
Yep.
My instant clock is to be believed. Yeah, indeed, we are 25 minutes past the start of this race. So this is really shaping up to that. I don't know if you can get another. They still need another 3 laps. There is also a 2 compulsory stop rule, so it's like, well, 1 stop has to be something at least. So it actually shows that I don't think Den Brinker's particularly been backed off. His best lap time is nearly a second faster than anyone else. He's the only driver I can see in the 1 minute 45s at any time tonight. And Lart is still only a couple of tenths off that, doing mid 145. So I think this might be a short-lived run for Den Brinker in the Pro-Am split at this rate.
Yes, I'd say there's a one-way invitation, a promotion straight into the Pro Split coming his way tonight, based on all of this. The interesting thing in all of that, hello to Dave Oliver, glad that you've landed home safely. You've seen it all over there, from motor racing events to compromised sporting events due to weather events, and then obviously a new circuit on the Supercars Tour. You've had the best of the North and South Island, and now you're back in Oz, and hopefully we'll see you back in the Sim Rig later in the week. You mentioned the 2 compulsory pit stop rule. Den Brinker's in now, which brings me to my point. 15 and 15 is 30, so that splash and dash will be for 4 laps and 4 laps only, based on those numbers. And you're right, 8 tenths of a second faster than anybody else at this point in time, based on the data we're seeing here on our screen compared to the last lap through. So the top 7 all on pit lane at the end of lap number 15. That's Weggett, Benici, Tassers, Ragwani, De Bruin, Wilkinson, Fitzgerald and Den Brinker. Also add into that Coates and McMenamin. So Matt Schmidtke's continued through in the Lambo. I haven't even gone through and ticked the boxes there with regards to manufacturer representation just yet. I'll do that in a moment. 26 and a half minutes gone. He looks as though things have stabilised at Dan's end, which is good. Harrison Den Brinker gets out in 20.17 seconds. I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch just yet, but based on the fact that I've got all the pit lane information data coming through at the moment, I'm crossing my fingers for you. Ben Goring, the only other one to go through for another lap. So they're going 16, and that obviously gives them all sorts of leverage for the next stint too, Dan, because if we're being fair dinkum, if it is a 34-lap race, which we think it is, then we're looking at 15, 16 laps of leeway between when you can stop and get home and when you can't. So that means that really the only 2 laps of inactivity on pit lane should be this 16th lap and the 17th one that follows. The end of 18 is fair game for mine. If you want to go at the end of 17, good luck to you. But the end of 18 is safe, as we see Ben Goring get a little bit flirtatious with the track limits there, running through the AstroTurf and then kicking up a bit of kitty litter through the back section of the circuit once more. But the end of 18 gives you 16 laps to home. So anywhere between lap 18 and 32 is when this next round of pit stops will take place. And obviously there'll be a mix of drivers, and we're having a look at it now. And Matt Schmidtke comes to pit lane. Den Brinker's gone a full fuel. So too is Derek Fitzgerald, so too is Jason Wilkinson, essentially, Sean Benici, Matthew Tassers. But there are a lot there, Dan, that have gone for a shorter fuel stop on this first stop deliberately to give them a short run now, and then probably somewhere in the vicinity of the same length stint home. Rather than going long, short, they've gone long, medium. Forward. Woodsy gets by Jason Wilkinson. Woodsy goes for P number 5 at this point. Gets by Jason Wilkinson. Nicely done. Adam Lavis in behind them. And Ben Goring back out onto the racetrack now in 15th position. Schmidtke's come out in 12th. He's gone the full fuel as well. So too Ben Goring in 16th, mate. So, yeah, there's a bit to keep an eye on there. A lot of variance, a lot of drivers opting. Jordan Pianazzola was a bit slow on the lane, 23.47. A lot of the field, particularly Dane Snadd and Neil de Bruin, prominently at the top end of town, and Adam Lavis have gone that short stop first time through.
Should give you that data there to throw the comparisons up on the screen.
Yeah.
I'm watching on at home. 40 seconds.
Gallagher as well, third beat tomorrow.
Jason is having a bit of a tough time of it there.
Lavis loving it because he might be able to have a piece of that in a moment and get a look at 6th position. But again, he's on the alternate strategy at this point in time. So too is Connors in 24th position. Wow, 10.2. Jesus. That is quick. And then everybody else, 22, 21, 22, 21, 20, 19. So all those guys going on the longer run, and anyone that's around that 13, 14, 15 second mark going on the shorter run. Sheesh Hells? I can't really tell. The user handle's really throwing me. I need to actually be careful how I pronounce that through risk of offending somebody or swearing on air. Harrison in first, big ups, and well done, Den Brinker. So Harrison's doing a very nice job at the front for Wild Ride Motorsport. Lap 18 for you, ladies and gentlemen. So again, 17 come and gone, and they did so in that first 30 minutes. So again, we're on track for that 34 that I mentioned, maybe with a smidgen of overtime required to get it done, but we're looking good for 34 laps tonight. Didn't get a chance to go back and finish the earlier story, Dan Yeoman. So anybody that has gone back through the archives of Australian motorsport and watched anything from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, even the 90s, even over on SBS and the ABC, would have heard the dulcet tones of Will Hagen, right? So, small world, isn't it? My sister is currently helping, and I hope Will doesn't mind me disclosing this, the veteran, the doyen of Australian motorsport will turn 85 this year. But my sister is helping him out by cleaning his house once a fortnight at the moment. He lives only 2 minutes down the road from Mum and Dad, and right up the road from the Bellbird Hotel. So I got the dues on Friday morning of going and babysitting my niece and nephew at the pub and having lunch with them, whilst Lachey did the chores required at Mr. Hagen's. It is a small world. And that's how my day started to unravel, because my thought was I'll go and get the haircut, I'll go and do my shopping, I'll go home, I'll get ready for the GSRC broadcast, and all hell broke loose. So no packing and planning for the trip home on Saturday was completed on Friday as a result of how... trouble at the back, Matthew Tassers, the Merc has gone hard, stage right, into the weeds. He'll rejoin the slippery eel, slipping and sliding through the final corner. And he drops a bunch of spots too. From 5th on the grid, he's now 17th, 18th as Richard King goes by, Cooper Friend and Stephen Gallagher before that. So Mercs and Mustangs doing Porsche things at Mugello.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is I actually did a bit of GT3 racing last night. Elsewhere on iRacing. It was in the Astons, another front-engine GT3 car, and there's one in particular spot on track where I found myself struggling at points with the rear of the car, under braking, threatening to snap away from me at Road America. So I wouldn't be surprised if even with a front-engine car and you're on the brakes, just the rear lightening up enough that if your engine's that little bit too hot, you're asking a little bit too much of the car in terms of what rotation you want out of it for the speed you're going. That's just all compound into causing the car to practically throw you off the circuit. And what we can do is, of course, go back and have a look at that one again for Tassers to see if I might be on the right track with this.
Dave Oliver, well played. Well played.
That's just curb.
There it is, curb, grass, gone. See you later. Yep, so it wasn't the car misbehaving. It was the driver getting the exit of the corner all terribly crossed up and wrong. So Tass is off the road. Cooper Friend off the road and now on the tow rope. So we'll have a look at that in a moment. Cooper Friend's on the tow rope. Tass is greedy with the curb and paid the price.
Had another incident.
Warren Ibert.
Ooh, anti-cut curb.
They're savage, aren't they? Bang, into the wall. You saw him bounce back off, say goodbye to the rear wing, and say goodbye to Warren Ibert's chances tonight. His second incident, that one.
Oh, no.
He did it all on his own.
We wanted this one here.
Keep a friend. Porsche. Curb.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I'm not sure if he was catching that and then just decided, you know what, I've had enough of this and drove it into the wall anyway. I'm not sure. Probably need to have a look on board. Have a look at this, folks. No. He didn't actually catch it down, I don't think. Not that I'm hearing the sound coming through from that incident, but yes. It looked as though the AstroTurf just wasn't all that friendly for him, and he's gone hard right. And even though it was only a tyre wall, it was enough to put him out of business.
Yeah, I guess with the way I'm looking at that one there, I sort of go, sort of perhaps think that he seemed to have enough control of it. I mean, yeah, whether that's just a throwing up the flag, I can't say with any certainty to be able to actually make a plan on that and say it with any confidence. So that one just to leave to the questions of Brett Beyond.
Indeed. A friend still showing on pit lane. Warren Ibert has parked up for the night. He's left the server. So Warren Ibert's night is done. A 10-second penalty for Brett Bradbury for contact with Andrew Neil. Now, that's an incident that we haven't seen yet, but Bradbury showing in 28th position and Neil 29th. Neil, of course, here with me on Thursday night for the Porsches, in the same way that he was here with Dan yesterday for the Gentlemen's Endurance Championship. Hope you enjoyed that. Again, the intention is to bring you as many of those rounds as we possibly can, provided that we've got someone available to do it. And it's funny that Neely ended up taking full advantage of you being 5 or 10 minutes late to the party. He said, I'll go and steer it. I'll go and have a drive of it. How many times have you seen it, folks? Our boys jump into the server and then come back and broadcast it next day. Again, usually Adam Lavis's trick. That was Brett Bradbury. Okay, watch the replay. Where's Andrew Neil?
Well, the thing is, Andrew Neil, I just flicked to him, was in the pits, but nearly a quarter of a lap apart. That's my only question there as to am I...
It's a strange one.
Yeah, unless there was another moment for Bradbury later in the lap. Okay. I think just a brief departure from the circuit. I think too much. Unless...
There it is.
Yes, he's back on though, and
nothing.
Neil is still a ways away.
Well back. Yeah.
So I can't.
Was there a third moment maybe for Brett?
By the time, yeah, I can't see another one for lap 16 anyways. So
no. Have another look at it a little bit later on once we get a bit more detail on that. Sean Benici in 8th at the moment. He's under pressure from Jordan Pianazzola.
Oh, there has been
but
issues with those replays, I think.
A couple of bits of housekeeping that we need to go back and cover off. But you mentioned Eduardo Zamora. There he is coming back out onto the racetrack and straight into the wall. He's had a tech glitch there.
Something's not quite... Well, yeah, the way he's driven that out, yeah, and immediately back to the pits, something's not quite right there for him. So back he goes.
That's another retirement for Zamora. Ibert out. Frank still on the tow rope. Not going to be classified at this point. Needs to get to 34. 25% taken off that. I reckon you need to complete 25, 26 laps here tonight. I'm leaning towards the latter. So 34 minus 25% is, 25.5. You need to complete 26 laps here to be classified tonight. So Friend needs to get back out there. And if he's sustained too much damage and doesn't have a fast repair up his sleeve, then he's up that proverbial creek without the paddle again. Warren Ibert out. Eduardo Zamora out. Jackson Russ, the last of the runners at the moment, sitting there in position number 30. Let's tick off a couple of other boxes here, Mr. Yeaman. 4 or 5 different manufacturers in the top 5 at the moment and 7 in the top 10. How good's that? So you've got Ford, you've got Ferrari, Aston, Porsche, Merc, all in the top 5. You've got a McLaren in 8th, on screen at the moment, and just behind these guys, there's Sean Benici being passed. Jordan Pianazzola goes down the inside, up into 8th spot. Wowee, Benici relegated to 9th. But not done with yet. Pianazzola on the comeback trail. And Adam Lavis the next target. And David Bernays and the Chev make 7 different manufacturers in the top 10. Beyond that, we've got a Lambo in Matt Schmidtke in 13th. We've got an Audi in Greg Heaney in 19th. We've got a Ben Goring BMW in 21st. And we've got a Brian Bullock Acura in 23rd. All 11 manufacturers. How rare a treat is that for you, ladies and gentlemen? All 11 manufacturers available to our disposal to use in the GT3 universe on the iRacing platform are present and accounted for this evening. What a nice time to be alive. It's usually been far from that the last few weeks. I think we only had 6 manufacturers in the GT3 Pro field last week because there's a lot of love for the Mustang at the moment. But here, every single one of the manufacturers on the table. And it won't be long, I couldn't imagine, Dan, until iRacing, because everybody in the universe is licking their lips at the prospect of Toyota coming to the GT3 party with the Supra. I can't imagine it'll take iRacing terribly long to get a piece of that.
No, probably not. And just have to wait and see if it comes to reality. As we got past Pianazzola, but the back and forth of drafting down the start from the stretch. Yeah, on full effect here. Can Benici finish the pass though?
Ooh.
No.
No. Pianazzola back through, goes back into 8th. Benici still there hassling. And you mentioned it, mate, the best part, best aspect of racing at this circuit, right there. That drag race, that slipstreaming, that drafting effect of the main straight at the Mugello circuit. Very tight and technical in other parts, but if you can be close enough along the main straight, you have one hell of a drag race down there, and there's such benefit for the slipstream, such an advantage for the following car in the train. Unfortunately, Benici unable to capitalise on that because, again, Pianazzola drove smartly, didn't he? He knew that he needed to get across to the inside. He knew that he needed to be there for turn 1. You can drive it out of there and get across to cover off the would-be attacker for the run to turn 2. 70 minutes to go. I hope you're enjoying it. The platform's the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Harrison Den Brinker, a leader by 12.3 seconds over Dane Snadden, Neil de Bruin, then Derek Fitzgerald, and that lead's only going to balloon out a little bit more when we get through the second round of pit stops because it's a shorter stop for Den Brinker and a longer stop for Snadden, who's on pit road right now. So Dane Snadden begins the process of getting us to the checkered flag, the first of those to stop last, essentially, apart from maybe Jared and Heppel and Russ, all those guys that aren't actually going to factor in the equation at the end of proceedings. So in they come, and in drives Wood, Lavis, being the next 2 to follow in the footsteps. So pit lane's all of a sudden going to get very, very busy. Now, I just want to point out that obviously we've had a couple of little small minor tech issues tonight. Nothing we haven't been able to work our way around. SDK just not wanting to cooperate during the second part of this race. So if the totem pole looks frozen at any particular point, that's very much beyond our control, but it's something that Dan's been vigorously trying to work away and troubleshoot at in the background. You may have also noticed that my microphone sounds a lot more like a microphone and broadcaster should for a 21st century broadcast. I had a bit of a prehistoric sort of, think 1990s BBC in South America type vibe going through there during the first round of racing tonight, the Formula 3s. Unfortunately, when you spend 2 weeks away from your main broadcast computer and you shut it down and restart it, some of the settings have just been tinkered with without me being aware. And I think it I had to, for some unknown reason today, every time I turn the computer back on, this magnificent Logitech A50 headset that I have, courtesy of one of our good mates, Dan Hall, of course, from Logitech, it goes flat and it won't let you charge it on the stand that is attached to the computer. You have to get the old plug out and put the USB cable in and plug it into a proper power board. So as I've done that today, I've taken the 2 cables out, put the 2 cables in, thought, just a general overall reset, refresh will do the trick, and it did, but not without Discord having a little bit of a misfit and saying, oh, look, we're just going to tinker with your settings without you knowing. And I've got in there tonight, everything looked normal, but I changed one thing and one thing only during the intermission, folks. I changed, and this is a true story, and I'll put something up on socials to verify it a little bit later on, but all I did was, it said Windows default, headset in brackets A50, simply by going one down lower for the voice microphone to headset microphone, A50 mic, brought me into the 21st century again. But yes, the 21st century jokes still work, because I'm back in Queensland, even though we only just started 2026 on Sunday, April 5, whereas the rest of the world had been there for a little bit longer. We caught up once there was no longer a 112-year and 1 hour time lapse between us and the rest of the eastern seaboard. So I've got to work out a way to fit the material in about being in prehistoric times. And tonight I was able to do it due to a tech glitch. So you can tick that one off your bingo card as we go here, folks. Harrison Den Brinker's lead now, Dan, is out to 25.6 seconds. And I dare say Adam Lavis from the comfort of the cockpit, Mark Heppel's picked up a black flag, and he's now going to pick himself up a drive-through penalty as a result of that, unfortunately. But I would dare say Adam Lavis, even from the cockpit, is on the blower to Harrison Den Brinker there and saying, congratulations, mate, you'll be racing in the Pro Split next week. "13 minutes to go." Exactly. Revolution E-Racing, thank you for the backup there. Joe Seppi, show us Harrison surely. Yeah, absolutely. There he is on screen. Harrison Den Brinker for Wild Ride Motorsport. I mean, obviously, give him his dues, tip of the hat, round of applause. We haven't seen much of him, which usually bodes well for any competitor on the platforms of the GSRC. When you're not being followed by us, it means there's no reason to actually pay a terrible amount of attention to you. You're doing all the right things, you're ticking the boxes, you're going through the motions, and you're minding your own business. And he's got no troubles, no pressure mounting, no nothing for a good half a minute at the moment. He's just checked out. All the action is unfolding behind him. So the battle packs, the pit strategy, etc., etc. He is due for his second stop in the next few laps. We anticipate around about lap 30 is the latest that he'll come to pit lane. But usually it's a good sign if you're not featuring on the broadcast terribly much, Dan, that yes, you've had a good night out, as Mark Heppel again has a stop-go drive-through penalty to serve. And there he is on screen at the moment in 27th position. Anthony Connors is immediately behind him. Then Peter Foster, 41 seconds down the road. Just having a look here. Everyone from Harrison Den Brinker down to Andrew Neil remains on the lead.
Now, the question of the lead being 30 seconds. Well, it was when Wilkinson and Pianazzola came into the pits. We'll need a moment to obviously get a course correction on that once pit cycle completes. But yeah, it's now 41 seconds to Brad Coates, who's going to go long on this this stint as well. So it's going quite well.
So a new arrival on the platforms of the GSRC, Dan, and obviously new arrivals are by default put straight into the Pro-Am field and very quickly extracted from there if the pace requires them to be so. Very rarely do you see them get demoted to the AM split. It's usually a promotion to the Pro split, especially when you're the only car in the 45s all night. Actually, I'll tell a lie. Jordan Pianazzola, the only other car to clock a 1 minute 45 lap time so far, receiving 1 minute 45.93. No, sorry, I had it and then I lost the reference. Apologies for that. I'm looking 145.957, I should say. And few and far between after that. Consistently, however, Harrison Den Brinker has been in the 1 minute 45s. Everybody else in the 46s. It's been a phenomenal performance. Mark Heppel's got to come in and serve that drive-through, or otherwise he's going to get punted from the server by the iRacing powers that be, not by our own internal race control. So keep an eye out for that. There's a slowdown coming the way of Dane Snadden. He's serving that now. He's going to try and clear that. It's a costly slowdown around here when you're limping along, but he's cleared it, and he's done so without any immediate threat to his track position. In comes Mark Heppel now, so that's cleared. That's good. Jason Wilkinson sits 8th. We're on lap 29. Harrison Den Brinker yet to come to pit lane. Brad Coates has got a 15-second penalty hovering over his head. We saw that earlier, or was it 10? I can't remember quite frankly, but it's a costly invoice coming his way. So effective second on the racetrack right now is Matt Schmidtke. But the problem we've got here, Dan, David Bernays has come in to complete his second stop, but we've still got Brad Coates, Matt Schmidtke, Jesse McManaman and Dane Snadden to come in and complete their second stop. And Brad Coates is only 20 seconds off Harrison Den Brinker. Den Brinker is 1 minute and 1 second ahead of Derek Fitzgerald at the moment. And we know full well that the transit time's not going to be terribly long for Harrison. So this victory is going to be a big one tonight. We just don't know how big just yet.
Yeah, I'll just switch it from interval to gap to leader, relatively speaking, just real quick. And yeah, this is it's a walk in the park. Yeah, we still got to get this last 8 minutes done, so don't put a foot wrong now, please. To make my point awkwardly incorrect, but yeah, working well so far.
Oh, let's be honest. We are no strangers to commentators' curses. Heppel's still got a black flag to his name. So has he got 2 penalties? Or did he not serve the first one correctly, Mark Heppel? That's unfortunate for him. He's halfway around on lap 28 now, and he's got to come back to pit lane again. Oh, dear. Stephen Gallagher sits 17th at the moment. Yeah. Revolutionary Racing. Basically looking at what Wild Ride Motorsport are doing and thinking, how can we recruit this bloke? Brad Coates, AITX Revolution E-Racing, he still has his second stop to complete. Matt Schmidtke, Jesse McManaman as well. And Derek Fitzgerald rides in 6th position right now. Harrison Den Brinker continuing on the 15th lap of this run. So again, the numbers read true, proven correct. 15, 15 and 4. This will be a very quick pit stop for the race leader, Harrison Den Brinker. The only thing that can bring him undone is himself or mucking up the run into pit lane. There, I said it. I put it on the record, so it's my commentator's curse, not Dan's, if it comes to fruition, because I know Dan's equally worried about that. But the Mustang has been a cut above tonight, no doubt about that. Here's David Bernays under pressure from Ben Goring down the main straight. Have a look at the slipstream. Ben Goring for Whiskey Business Racing, trying to find a way by David Bernays. Chev v BMW to turn 1. Bernays deep to the corner. And Goring trying to go around the outside. It's a long way around. It's too far around at the moment. He'll reset, go again. Slow down for Brad Coates out there, centre stage right now. Well, he could, but he'll get slugged for not meeting compulsory pit stop criteria if he does. That's the problem. For those of you that are newbies or have forgotten, 2 compulsory pit stops in a 60-minute race is part of our series regulations here in Waste Options GT3. And Den Brinker's gone on for a 16th lap of this stand, and there goes Bernays!
Oh, dear.
Goring goes through. Takes Ray Guarani with him. Gallagher and Tazis as well. And in comes Brad Coates. Schmidtke's going on for a 16th lap in this stint. Oh, sorry, a 15th lap in this stint, and then Brinker a 16th. And the field is cleansed at that particular point. And guess who's going to come through as corrected second on the track right now? It's Dane Snadden. Dane Snadden. Wowee. What a result for the Whiskey Business Racing entry. Corrected order, second on the racetrack now is Dane Snadden ahead of Derek Fitzgerald. The margin to the leader is still 57 seconds. But he's gapped Fitzgerald to the tune of 5.7. And Dan Brinker is still 50 seconds to the good on Schmidtke. It's a crushing win. Going to get taken away from him, obviously, because he's going to be on a one-way train to the pro split. In he comes now. And let's just see how big the margin is between Dan Brinker and Snadden. He pitted half a lap ahead of Snadden. That gives an indication as to the sort of form he's brought to the table tonight. Let's see how big that margin is after this second pit stop, which we don't think will be as long as Dane's was, because Dane pitted early on lap 24, 14.13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6.4 seconds, and then Brinker's gone. He's got 4 laps to go. Oh, sorry, 3 laps to go. My apologies. 3 laps to go. And barely that. He'll only just get back in regulation to get lap 34 underway. Den Brinker, Schmidtke, Snadden, and the margin is still... It's coming down at the moment. It's going to correct itself any tick of the clock. 21, somewhere around that 20, 21 second marker. An extraordinary performance in anyone's language. And Stormberg gets slowed down now as well.
So I take it to Snadden, it's nigh on 28, more than 29.
Yeah.
So could get back to 30 seconds here.
Yep, it could well indeed. And Snadden as well. It looks good for second. He's only 8 seconds behind Matt Schmidtke. Schmidtke's on a 16th lap of the stint again, so it's a very short splash and dash for him. But at what expense to his on-track finishing position does he pay the price for going that long stint and doing the fuel saving along the way? You've been there, you've done that, mate. Let me ask you this, because I don't really always understand the mathematics around it, because sometimes you can see the merit in it and the benefit in it, but it doesn't appear to be as though this is going to be one of those circuits where you're going to be grossly rewarded for fuel saving. I can understand why some do it and some don't, but you've got to weigh up the pros and cons, don't you?
Yeah, it all comes down to, and a lot of it, and a good chunk of it is how well you can do it, not just on top of it. So yeah, balance that fact is like, how much am I trying to save? Or like, are we looking to save half a lap, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8 laps of fuel to make the save actually get you something in benefit? And then once you got to sort of, beyond half a lap of saving, like to save half a lap of fuel, and it depends on the track basis too, obviously. Short track, if there's still, and also how good the opportunity of the fuel saving. Short track, and there's like a good long braking zone where you can take advantage of that. Like here at turn 1 is probably a prime choice, because it does flatten out just in time there. You can sort of roll it. Once you get over this hump here, it's pretty flat, almost slightly down, so you could roll it as you get over the top into turn 1 here if you were looking to really save fuel. And
just going to come out in 9th.
Other spots
10th,
like that
sorry.
too. Yes. Yeah.
Matt Schmidtke. Not bad.
And
not bad.
It's other stuff here, like what does saving a pit stop actually benefit you on track? In terms of, because you come to a track here like Mugello where it's going to be a modest pit speed. In fact, I can actually go confirm that. It's a pit speed limit here of about 60 kilometers an hour, so it's quite slow, and you are already at speed once you come out of the last turn here by a decent amount. So to me, that says that a track here, like if you could fuel save, I mean the 2 CPS fuel also kind of does box us in here in a 1 hour race a little bit, but I would be looking at and going, if a track here at Mugello as well where it's high speed, if I had to save only need to find half a lap of fuel, I reckon I would probably. And the other thing is how much time do you lose per lap fuel saving to do that too? So is that other component? How much fuel do you want to save? How well can you do it in terms? And in other words, how much time do you lose per lap doing the fuel save? And how much time do you save cutting out if you can cut out a pit stop if it's that kind of a race? Does that gain you time back in a race like this where it's all about? Pardon me for saying. What's the words here? You've got compulsory stop rules. Is what I'm looking for to say.
Yep.
It can make it less valuable beyond just shortening a stop. And in that case, that puts a lot more emphasis on how well can you save the fuel and keep up your pace while still doing the saving.
Indeed. And Matt Schmidtke ended up rejoining the circuit. I mean, he came out in about 8th or 9th, but then obviously as he was still getting back up to speed, both Brad Coates and Adam Lavis were able to get by him. Now, the problem for Coatesy is he's going to lose that 9th position at the moment, but he's only going to drop 2 spots. It's a 15-second penalty hovering over his head. And at the moment, he's got 0.7 of a second up his sleeve on Jesse McMenamin. So Lavis will go to 9th, Schmidtke to 10th, and Coates will be relegated to 11th. Plus 13 will be the positional gain for him. So the most on track will be actually plus 14, shared by Stephen Gallacher and Brian Bullock. Getting back to that in a moment. But in the meantime, take your hands out and smash them together, ladies and gentlemen. 61 and a half minutes later, victory is Harrison de Brinca's at the Mugello circuit in Italy. Round 2, Waste Options GT3 Pro-Am. And congratulations, young man. Wild Ride Motorsport. Yeah, heading to the Pro Split, I would imagine. There's no inconceivable way for me that he stays in M or Pro-Am another week. You go and play with the big boys, Harrison den Brinker, and with that sort of pace, there's no reason why he wouldn't be able to hold his own up there. Dane Snadden, a brilliant result here to get second. Derek Fitzgerald under pressure from Jason Wilkinson. The 2 Porsches are going to be side by side on the run up the hill. A photo finish here for third. Can Wilkinson pick Fitzgerald to the post? He can! Fitzgerald loses the podium berth right with the finish line in view. Jason Wilkinson for Northwind Motorsport onto the podium with about 50 metres to go. Wowee! Paul Woodin for 5th, Neil de Bruin, Sean Benici, Jordan Pianazola, then Brad Coates, Adam Lavis, Matt Schmidtke. Lavis and Schmidtke will go up. Coates will drop down 2 spots. Jesse McMenamin comes home in 12th, then Janash Ragwani, Stephen Gallacher, Matthew Tassis, Thorn Weggett, then Nathan Michael, Matthew Gerard, and David Bernays ahead of Ben Goring. Brian Bullock's already come home a lap down. And Dale Atkins as well. Greg Heaney, Andrew Neal, both a lap down. Brett Bradbury's parked up. Jackson Russ is parked up. Then Peter Foster. And then Mark Heppel. Unfortunately, he got shown the door. He did finish 75% of the race, but unfortunately, that extra pit stop and the 2 black flags had put pay to any chance he had of troubling the scorers. Anthony Connors also finished on 28 laps, so whether or not he's been able to be classified, A, you've got to be on the server, but B, you have to have completed 75%, and I know one overrides the other, so it'll be at the discretion of Adam Lavis as to whether or not those 2 get classified. Richard King will not, nor will Eduardo Zamora, Warren Ibert, Cooper Friend, James Lawrence, David Baz, and that is all she wrote, the 35-car field tonight. 28.76 seconds, the winning margin, and well done to Harrison den Brinker and Wild Ride Motorsport. Have a look at this too, Yeaman. I mean, Wild Ride Whiskey Business Northwind Aussie Races, Team 77, Skidmark Sim Racing. There were a couple of Skidmark moments actually tonight, not necessarily for Jordan Pianazola though. AITX Revolution E-Racing, 7 different teams in the top 10. So that's a good little point to note there. Obviously, Brad Coates does drop out of that, so that becomes 6 once the results are rectified. Ford, Ferrari, Porsche, Mercedes, Aston, McLaren, and Lambo in the top 10. So by my count, that's 7 different manufacturers as well. Not that maths is my strong point. We went 34 laps tonight. So a smidgen over, what are we talking there? About 170 kilometres. A smidgen over 170 kilometres tonight at the Mugello circuit in Italy. But yeah, Harrison Den Brinker, a cut above. He's going to join us for a chat in just a moment. Tame race in parts, but you can't ask for much more than that, Dan, to have the battle for third go right down to the final corner. And really, it crept up on us. That one, we thought Derek Fitzgerald had it, but Jason Wilkinson came home with a wet sail.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. Actually, see if I got a camera angle to sort of watch that one back again, right to the dying breath. Yeah, let's go have a look at that one there real quick. Load it up here. We'll have a look at this. Get that one off the screen.
Right there. Oh, there was a little bit of hip and shoulder in that too.
Oh, Derek. No, I need to go on board with this. I think I've just seen why he lost the spot.
Did he cough? Oh, no.
I'm so sorry. I also left that muted. I'll play that back one more time, folks, to let you hear that yourselves, because the answer is an unequivocal and very tragic yes.
So Derek's run out of fuel. So he was trying to fuel save, you would say, trying to make it to the line, and that's why the gap has evaporated the way that it did, and Jason's been able to steal third.
That looks to be the case.
Cruel blow. That's a cruel blow. Again, how appropriate that you and I were having the conversation, weighing up the pros and cons of just, going balls to the wall and having at it, burning the tank, just not giving a stuff about your fuel numbers and just focusing on racing hard and qualifying laps, etc. And then talking about the likes of Matt Schmidtke and a few others are also trying to preserve a little bit, save a little bit. Okay, and there is the confirmation actually from Derek Fitzgerald at this point in time, or Fleazy as his handle is, that he did cough just over the line. The interesting thing in all of that is we're talking about, let's be perfectly honest here, folks, this is a virtual world, this is the sim world. We don't have the ongoing global world fuel crisis that's going on in real world, impacting our ability to go racing here. So you look at someone like Matt Schmidtke, he was doing a little bit of fuel save. He was getting a bit more mileage out of the tank, and it's worked for him. And unfortunately, it hasn't for Derek in that instance, and he's just coughed over the line. We're in no sort of uncertainty as to what number lap we were going to fall on tonight. It was always looking like it was going to be 34. So, just an extra trickle or two of fuel could have been the difference between holding on to third and obviously, as what has happened there, losing it for Derek Fitzgerald. Wowee. Unlucky for him. Them's the breaks of GT3 racing. Let's remind everybody of what's to come as far as this series is concerned. The calendar for the term of GT3. And Dan will bring that up for you in just a moment. Our next stop is the Fuji International Speedway, ladies and gentlemen. That is next Monday night for you, April 27. Now, for some parts of the country, that falls on the back of a long weekend because Anzac Day falls on a Saturday. Next year, it'll be a long weekend across the board because Anzac Day, when it falls on a Sunday, we take the Monday observance. The following Monday is a public holiday in Queensland and the Northern Territory because we can't do anything in sync with the Eastern Seaboard. So we do Labor Day in May and not October. And we do the King's birthday in October, not June. So go figure. Sandown then follows the day after Mother's Day. I'll be in Cessnock for round 6. I was trying to work out which one it was. Round 6, I'll be in Cessnock for you, and round 7 as well, broadcasting from Dad's shed for the Sebring and Magny Core stops. Then we get stuck into St. Petersburg, the actual King's Birthday holiday weekend for the majority and sensible parts of the country is Monday, the 8th of June. We're at the Red Bull Ring for sprint racing there, and then off to the Circuit de la Sarre, straight after the real world's been there for the 24 hours of Le Mans for our 90 minutes of Le Mans, the pro split in focus there for the grand finale. So, sprint racing in rounds 4, 5, 8 and 9, and good to see the newest circuit in the server, the St. Petersburg Grand Prix circuit in Florida, getting a run on this calendar. Righto, Dane Snadden's jumped in to have a chat. Jason Wilkinson's here as well. Paul Wood too. We'll hear from him on the back of scoring 6 tonight in just a moment, but I want to start with Harrison Den Brinker and say welcome to the club and welcome to Victory Lane for Wild Ride Motorsport, mate. What a night that was for you. Ticked every box, hit every marker. Perfect, faultless. Can't ask for much more than that. I guess the only downside is it's a one-way ticket, an invitation to the pro split awaiting you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into pro. I expected to end up there. I thought my pace would be pretty good, to be honest, but I didn't think it would be this strong over the full race, so I'm quite happy.
Give us the Harrison Den Brinker background, mate, because obviously we had a few people watching on with a view to an interest in your progress, and no doubt been loving the fact that they're hearing from you at the moment, and of course they're being able to watch you just carve it up tonight there for Wild Ride. The reality of the matter is you're a new name to us, but there's obviously a good sim racing background story there to fill us in on.
Yeah, I've competed my first league season over the last few months, racing in the DWREC, which I actually raced the final one this morning, got the win for the championship, so I'm quite happy with that. That's basically going to fuel my credits for buying a couple of the circuits over this next season, and just looking forward to it. I'm just really happy to be racing in this series. It's really fun, really competitive, and looking forward.
Because I've just said it in the comments there, and again, forgive me, I'm trying to get my head around things, and I know that there's Wild Ride, there's Wild Side, there's a few different bloody team names there that are eerily similar in terms of the way they appear. You just got to read the right consonant, right? But considering that he's one of your teammates, am I right to assume that Thorn Weggett might have had a little bit of a role to play in you joining the platforms of the GSRC, please?
Yeah, definitely. I've been connected with Thorn through DWR, Darkwing Racing for the last probably year or so. And it's only in the last couple months we've spoken a bit more, and I'm really happy he kind of just convinced me to race this. I'm really having fun. So let's be perfectly honest, you're going to fit in perfectly in the pro split, mate, because it's fast becoming a Mustang Cup there. Thorn's now denying it, by the way. I don't know if you can see the comment threads appearing live on screen at the moment. But the interesting thing for mine in all of this, I want to get your thoughts on, because obviously Thorn's gone tearing around in the Mercedes. We've got 11 different manufacturers available to us, but we're all represented in the server tonight. What steered you in the direction of the Mustang, mate? Oh, Mustang's quite a new car to me. I actually only drove it for the first time last week at Spa and thought it was good. Knew it would be competitive. Front engine cars seem to be the go at the moment. I normally drive the McLaren, so I've been trying to expand my reaches a bit, and I'm really happy with how it's going. I'm loving the handling.
Hardstack Casual is now telling us that Thorn recruited a Canadian into the GSRC. I love that we are expanding our global reach and presence, so I don't have any issue with that whatsoever. Talk us through the race from your standpoint, mate. I mean, Mugello, clearly a circuit that gels with you.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure how I had the consistency I did this week, or this race, because all week I kind of struggled a little bit, and to come into the race in 0x and pull out the lead I did, I'm really, really happy. Just flowed beautifully. Pit strategy, I mean, a bit of a talking point with everybody else. It didn't necessarily matter with regards to your race. I mean, as I was explaining to the guys that were requesting a bit of footage of you on screen, the fact that we were leaving you alone pretty much bode well for how good the night was going for you. And we were focusing on positional battles and incidents, all of which were happening behind you. You've probably got no idea of. But from your standpoint, what was the rationale behind strategy, mate? Because really, you had plenty of leverage to work with there.
Rationale behind it was I'm usually a huge tyre abuser, so I knew I was going to take tyres in some form. I ended up taking only lefts. I think that was definitely the goal in the end, for me at least. I found it to be considerably better. And just fuel was just going to whatever I was comfy with, just doing a light bit of fuel saving in that second stint to get to that little extra lap and just driving to what I'm happy.
We're in a swing of visiting former Formula One Grand Prix venues in this point of the tour. We've ticked off Spa. It's not a former, it's a current. But Mugello, next week's venue, and the one after, all are former. What are your thoughts on the Fuji International Speedway, please?
I haven't raced at Fuji since the back end of 24, I think. And while I do love the circuit, it's basically going to be relearning as some of the other circuits, like Sandown for me. Fuji is a beautiful circuit, though. I've always liked it, loved watching racing there in real life. So I'm looking forward to going there.
And now that we've got through what was a magnificent GT3 round, and you've ticked that box, and obviously you're now setting your sights on Pro. Two-part question here. One, realistically, where are the goalposts for you with regards to what you might be able to achieve when you do go up and start racing with the Pro boys? And two, where else might you pop into the platforms of the GSRC and have a dabble in the meantime? Because obviously it's a week between rounds and there's a lot of time and gaps to fill.
For question one, I think I'm probably going to slot, or I'm hoping to slot in somewhere in the top 5 maybe, or around there. I'm not sure exactly. I need to look at what averages were and such to really have any idea. But I do think I'll have the pace to be fighting up front. It's just consistency at circuits and such. I'm not sure how much racing I'll be able to do in the other series, unfortunately, with time-wise for practice in general. But I do hope to try and get in some supercar rounds and possibly a couple of Vs for a bit of fun.
Fun is the operative word. You're always welcome to come go racing in Formula V. In fact, I encourage anybody to go racing with us in Formula V. Best value for money we've got going for us on the platforms of the GSRC at the moment. Boosted 6TT is asking, when does LMP2 run? The combined all-in GSRC Endurance Championship, which is encompasses the hypercars, the prototypes, and also the GTEs. That will be coming up on Friday night for you, so do keep an eye out for that. And of course, off to a successful start on Friday night last week at the Imola circuit, and well broadcast by Dan Yeaman and Andrew Neil yesterday. In fact, funny, wasn't it? Didn't get a chance to finish off the point because something happened on the circuit. We were detailing how that came to be, that it was a Sunday broadcast, not live on Friday night, and nearly put his hand up to broadcast it because, in his words, can't stand Imola, don't like the circuit, and all of a sudden, as soon as the opportunity presented itself to go and have a steer instead of pushing the buttons for us on Friday night, he was out there in the thick of it. So it was a short-lived disdain of the Imola circuit by the sounds of it for Andrew Neil.
Don't ask him what happened mid-race.
No, I won't. I might on Thursday, though, when he's here in the booth. Get to you in a minute, Greg Heaney. But Harrison, to finish with you, mate, you've been very good with your time. Well done on the result and everything else. You mentioned tyre wear. And can we focus on that for a moment? Because we're looking at the times as they were coming in on our screen here, and we had a couple of teething issues. But one thing remained abundantly clear, and that was that you were consistently faster across the board than everybody else, and it didn't appear as though there was too much drop-off over the course of a stint between your fastest lap time and your slowest?
There was definitely a small feeling in the drop, but it was nothing really too affecting. It was only if you started to make some small mistakes and slide it a little bit more that you would be affected for maybe a lap or two, pressure-wise. But tyre wear really wasn't as bad as I expected it to be. So taking 2 tyres for me was just being safe. I had the gap too, and it just meant I could keep my pace up a little bit more throughout the race.
Very nicely done. I'm sure there's a lot of people you'd like to thank before we let you go.
Of course, I'd love to thank my dad, who I know is watching, and possibly my mum might be hanging around. And I might have a couple of mates watching at the moment as well. And big thank you to Thorn as well for dragging me into this championship. I'm loving it.
And we're loving having you here, mate. We can't wait to see what you bring to the table as the term goes on. 8 weeks to make your mark in the GT3 Pro Split, mate. So good luck there. And I have no doubt that we'll be talking to you again as the season progresses. Go well.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
From Harrison Dan Brinker to, well, we've already heard from Greg Heaney. We'll come back to him. I want to go to his teammate Dane Snadden as well. But before any of that, because I know he usually sees his opportunity to exit stage left before I get a chance to get to him, I'm going to go to Paul Wood. Interesting night for you, Woodsy, no doubt. But a solid start. Banked the points. Top 5 finish. Best placed Merc. Ticked all the boxes, really, mate. Describe the hour around Mugello in your from the view of your cockpit, please, mate, and what you made of that.
For me, overall, pretty smooth run. Didn't quite have the outright pace would have liked. Still, again, struggling with that straight line poke down on the straight. So trying to catch those Porsches and that in front, I just could get in behind them, but no chance of making a move. And through the corners, they're just too good. So yeah, it was all done through pit stop and pit strategy to make up some positions. So all in all, pretty good race. I only took lefts myself in the race, which I think was, in the end, not a bad idea. I was tempted to take a front right in the stop because I thought it was starting to melt a little bit. But looking at the end of the race, it all went pretty well. So again, the consistency of the Merc, I think, is pretty good. It held onto the tyres quite well. It brought me home safe. So yeah, it would have been a nice race to have got 0 incidents, but that all disappeared quite early because you're trying to stay inside the lines on this track, especially when you're right up people's rear ends going through tight corners. It's you lose a bit of aero and you've got no hope of staying on. So I'm happy with the result. I think that was pretty much probably the best I was going to get considering the overall pace I had. So all in all, I'll take it, bank it, and we'll move on.
It's always a good night when you move forward from your qualifying position, mate, and really in a field this size to be in the top 10, you got to be happy with that as a launch pad to build the rest of the season on.
Oh, the talent out there is just unbelievable. Like I said, just the pace there is. I was battling hard, like I was working up a sweat, even though it's freezing cold here. So it's always keeping you on your toes, which is good. We want to have good battles and that sort of thing. But yeah, it'd be nice to be able to have a little breath and breather every now and then. But every time you get a break, it's either a car catches back up behind or you start to get on the back of someone, so you're back into it. So yeah, it's just good that there's good challenge up and down the field, and yeah, the championship just and the battles just keep getting tighter and tighter every week. So it just makes for good racing and a fun championship.
You mentioned, I want to sidestep this for a moment. There's a couple of things. Hang in there, Woodsy. I'm coming back to you in a moment. I have got one question for Dan Yeaman before I go back to you, though. But I want to touch on your point about sweating up a storm. I was exactly the same, right? So before the broadcast, and Sean Benici saying freezing cold. They've just come out of the winter in the United States, of course. Here, before 7 o'clock, I'm looking at it thinking, oh, geez, I might need the jumper tonight. As soon as we started the broadcast, and I don't know whether it was just from a personal standpoint or whether it was the operations of the computer and everything else going around me, I'm reaching for the new fan that I've purchased to replace the one that I had for 16 years that has always kept me cool in the booth during the summer months. I'm reaching for that and turning it on. It tells me it's 24 degrees in here inside at the moment, and I'm taking the jumper off. Now that the race is finished, I'm starting to reach for the jumper again. I'm starting to think I might need to put that on, and it's still 24 degrees. Go figure. It's a very strange thing sometimes. Hard Start Casual is asking how Sean Benici did in his race. He did a little bit better than Thorne in the end, didn't he? Because he's finished up there in 7th position, and Thorne was down in 16th, just to answer that question. But Dan Yeoman made an interesting point. He got to it before I could with regards to the comments. Valid laps, because obviously Harrison has been in here and spoken about getting a 0x, etc., etc. So how can he do that and also achieve what we are considering to be an invalid lap time along the way, if that's exactly what's transpired? Because we've obviously had the question come through saying, has he not got into the 44s? He got a 45.179 as his best. If he's tripped up the sensors anywhere around the circuit, how's he done that and kept a 0x?
Oh, is that a question with me?
No, that was for Dan Yeoman, okay. Because he was the one that answered the question in the comments.
I was just, because I didn't check to see what his incident count was. I may have just tuned out whilst he was talking about it.
Yeah.
So I just I looked over at SDK, so it said 45.18, and you can see that for here, lap 5 of the race for Harrison's best time of the race. And that looks to be the case of, it was a clean run. There were no invalid laps. There was no better time. And there was a bunch of 146s, so he wasn't ruthlessly consistent, but there's enough 145s here that the average lap time, I believe, would be in the 145s as well, if not only dragged down to the 46s or more by the pit stops, obviously blowing out the lap times on those particular ones.
And the tyre wear that he, of course, detailed as well. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. Yeah, that was a question because obviously we did have some teething issues here, so I wasn't seeing all the data coming in. There were times where our timing screen was blank, ladies and gentlemen. So if it sounded as though we were making it up as we were going along, that's because we were. So I wanted to confirm that there was no discrepancy, no invalid lap times, because obviously it's fair to assume that there might have been just a little bit of ribbing going on from the teammates there, saying, "What? He's not in the 44s? Hang on, that's not cutting the rug." So obviously, in the view of the teammates, maybe a little bit of speed to find for Harrison in the weeks to come, but he'll find it in the pro split because he'll have his work cut out for him and he'll have a couple of targets to chase, I would expect. Righto, back to Paul Wood. Sorry for digressing there, boys. Joys of undiagnosed, unmedicated ADHD, I reckon. The fact that I can take you on 13 different paths and still come back to the point. But Woodsy, back to you. The Merc's looking good, mate. And I know that you've had an interesting association with that manufacturer over the course of time. Does it remain a case of that being the car that's most comfortable for you to drive as to why we're seeing you going around in it again?
Yeah, it felt pretty good last season, and it's always been a car that's been pretty good for me to use, just consistent wise. And I thought, let's shake things up and actually stick to the same car for 2 seasons in a row. But the last time I did that, though, things didn't go real well. But so far this season, it's come on off well. But yeah, the Merc I just find is a fairly consistent car for me. So it allows me to push it a little bit without it trying to kill me. So yeah, it's I'm hoping to get some bonus points with some 0x races. But with trying to keep up with the pace tonight, I was just pushing too hard, and yeah, near impossible for these guys to stay on track. It's above my league, but the car it's just enjoyable. It's consistent and consistent across the whole run, so that works for me. So that's why I'm trying it again and see if I can get another reasonable season result come the end of week 10. So yeah.
And let's be honest, mate. You talk about pushing the car too hard. Well, to be fair, within the limits of incident points and other regulations that you've got to adhere to within this series, because if it had been pushing too hard, there comes an incident point, you've racked up the incident points and you've earned yourself a drive-through penalty, and that would have put you right out of contention for a top 10 finish, let alone a top 5. So there's a line and you very rarely cross it, Paul.
Yeah, I do try to stay well within the the black flag limits. But yeah, just the bonus points are nice as well, especially with how competitive everything is. I think at the end of the season, it's usually the thing that comes to bite me in the backside. So I'm trying to clean up my act a little bit and yeah, be a good boy and stay within the lines. But it does get hard when you're really trying to push these things to the edge. So I'm trying to improve, get a little bit quicker, and see if I can, step up to the next level. But yeah, it's a hard battle to get there, and it's just trying to remain consistent with, which is my baseline and where I always try to work from. So yeah, it's finding that balance. So I just keep working at it, and we'll see where we get.
I reckon there's more fun to be had in experimenting where the lines and limits of adhesion are, actually, Woodsy. So it seems as though you're making the most of that and having fun in the process, mate, and that's what it's all about. Now, talk to me about, firstly, any paperwork sitting there on the steward's desk at the end of the night for you to go and have a look at or not?
Yeah, I was summoned to the RC's office, but then I think with the list that's there, Travis said to me, he goes, "Nah, I'm too tired. I couldn't be bothered doing tonight. We'll catch up tomorrow." So I went, "All right, let me know." So yeah, it looks like might be a little bit of a list. So yeah, I'll be busy tomorrow. Yeah, we'll see what all shakes out once it's all shown to me.
And that's exactly why I got on to the front foot here and spoke to you early in the piece, because I thought you might be going to pay Trav a visit. But if that's not until tomorrow, that's good news for us and for you as well. But next stop on the tour, Fuji International Speedway. How do you reckon you and the Merc fare there?
Last time I drove there, which I think was actually in the Merc quite a few seasons, it was quite a comfortable car. So if the main thing with this is if I can get some good rotation in it, because they've got a lot of long corners there, I'll be pretty happy with it. And I would definitely going to need a little more straight line poke. So it's going to be finding the balance between keeping the car, pointing the right direction through the corners and the off-camber corners, but still having a little bit of a slipstream, or able to slipstream down the straights to actually try and get some positions done. So it's going to be interesting. I do enjoy the track. I think it's a bit of an interesting track. It throws you a bit of everything. It's nice and wide, so you can have some good passing maneuvers there. So yeah, bring it on. Let's see what happens.
Interesting, isn't it, that we're touring Japan so early in the campaign, and we're getting the longer races out of the road early as well, mate. Some big sprint races coming up, but not until rounds 4 and 5 and then 8 and 9. Are you surprised when you look at the schedule and how it all comes together that we've got to wait so long for sprint racing to start?
Yeah, surprising. Usually they do come a little bit earlier in the season, but I'm more favourable. I enjoy the longer races. It sort of works more to my driving ability. So a little bit more time to just plan things out and try and make some manoeuvres where the outright pace is not my cup of tea. So that's where the sprints are usually my Achilles heel in the season. But yeah, look, they'll come around. Let's just see what I can do and or what points I can bank until we get up to that point, and just do the best I can when time rolls around.
Indeed, and we're looking forward to it immensely. Very nicely done, mate. Good to catch up with you. What else is on the schedule for this week, please?
Porsche's on Thursday, and trying my hand at the Endurance League on a Friday. So it's been a while since I've done multi-class racing. So last week was a bit of a baptism of fire. So getting used to it, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. So yeah, we'll keep at it, and I'm really enjoying being back in the GTE. So yeah, that's my season at the moment.
Very nicely done. We'll catch up with you later in the week then. Go well, enjoy the early night, and play and catch up on the paperwork tomorrow, mate. Thanks for that.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
First of the Aussie races are entries home, and there are 2 of them in the top 10. And of course, let's not forget that every other night of the week, Matt Schmidtke's one of their stable as well. We'll get to Whiskey Business in a moment. Dane Snadden and Sean Benici also in the top 10. Of course, Brands has to have rain for the first sprint route. Yeah, exactly, Sean. Welcome. I know you're not a fan of Brands for starters, and secondly, the rain there just adds insult to injury, doesn't it? Jason Wilkinson, let's go to you. Right with the finish line in view, you snatched third out of the grasp of Derek Fitzgerald, and I would think that there's no one else happier about him selling himself a couple of $100 million of fuel short in that race tonight. No one happier about that than you. Jace, I can see the lights are on, but no one's home at the moment, mate.
Sorry, I had it muted there.
Oh, there he is. He's in the house, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on there, please?
But yeah, wasn't expecting that at all, but glad I kept the pressure on for them last couple of laps. There was one point there in that last lap where I thought I fell back quite far and wasn't going to catch him, but luckily them last two hairpins, the last corner and a couple of corners before that, I managed to pull out a bit of an advantage on him, and yeah, very close.
Indeed it was, mate. An interesting sort of setup for us, really, to be fair, because it was looking as though it was Derek Fitzgerald's third for the taking. It kind of crept up on us to see you snatch that at the line. We were obviously too busy applauding the feats of Harrison Den Brinker, and then turn our attention back half a minute down the road, you blokes are, and all of a sudden, hang on, what's going on here? Full beneficiary of the long straight there at the Mugello circuit, and the fact that you can get a run in the slipstream there, but obviously assisted by the fact that Derek had sold himself a couple of mil short on fuel. But you'll take those wins when you can get them, especially when you've been able to finish where you start as far as qualifying is concerned. So you had the 1 lap pace and eventually converted that into the long run as well, mate. So a great second round of the season for you in the Northwind stable.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's always good to qualify up front. You definitely have more of an opportunity to keep your nose clean going into the race, and unlike Paul Woods and a few of the other guys who have been on already, I decided to take 3 tyres instead of 2, which I don't think was the best idea. But yeah, happy enough. Even the 4th place I was happy enough with, so to take the 3rd at the last minute, yeah, over the moon.
Indeed it does. We didn't get a chance to catch up with you guys last week. Obviously, we were showing the Pro Split race. Clearly happy with the Porsche to stick with it for another campaign? Yeah,
definitely. And I think for the Nürburgring 24, the plan is to run the Porsche as well, so it just made a bit more sense to stick with it this season. But in general, I like the car. I think I've gelled with it quite well. Had my best season last season with it, so no reason not to, really.
And thoughts on the Mugello circuit at large, mate? I mean, obviously, we had a few comments at the end of last term saying, no more MotoGP tracks, please. And sure enough, here in round 2 of the new campaign, we've got our first MotoGP synonymous circuit. But it goes all right as a 4-wheel track too.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice and wide, very flowy, and very easy to make a mistake and go wide. So I think, keeping the pressure on and having someone right on your tail really makes a difference. And as well, the loss of downforce in some of the corners definitely makes it interesting. But yeah, I don't mind the track. Haven't really raced it before this weekend, if you like. So, but yeah, wouldn't mind seeing it on the calendar again.
Thoughts on the next stop, the Fuji International circuit?
Yeah, looking forward to that one. Fuji's a very cool track. Haven't raced there a whole lot. I think I've only raced there a couple of times on here, but when I have raced it, I have enjoyed it much. Unfortunately, you don't see it a lot on the officials, so I was quite happy to see it back this season.
What else is on your racing agenda, please, as far as Term 2 is concerned?
Just sticking with GT3 and Porsche Cup. Not expecting to have as good a run in the Elite Split this time round, but I think it'll be good learning. You're definitely looking forward to racing with some of the faster guys in that. And yeah, I'll just keep on going with the 2 of them, I think.
And obviously the next round of the Porsche series is on the streets of Long Beach, so we go from a wide open flowing sort of racetrack to a tight little concrete canyon.
Yeah, exactly. It should be interesting, but I think I'd take Long Beach over Mexico last week any day, so let's see how it goes.
I love it. Hey, very nicely done. Obviously, when we talk about the season at large, mate, I'm just going down through the results from last week. 7th, vast improvement tonight, 4P3. can't ask for much more than that because consistency wins championships. As Paul Wood's already detailed, tough series, very competitive series. Where are the goalposts in 8 weeks' time?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just, trying to keep it clean and consistent. If I can, the aim is to just finish in the top 10 for at least the first half of the season, then see where we stack up. Obviously, to be on the podium will be a bonus, but I think, like Woodsy said, it's a very tight field. I think the pace differential between Pro and Pro-Am over the past few seasons, it just keeps dropping. So, let's see how it goes. I think the first 2 rounds are generally a bit more chaotic with all the new drivers coming in and what have you. So I've got a feeling it might calm down a little. But if I can carry on the way I have done in these first 2 races, we'll try and go 1 or 2 spots better than last season.
Indeed. I guess the other question that we should ask you is third the best you could have hoped for tonight? I mean, obviously, Dane Snadden in the early stages got away from Derek Fitzgerald. He was the next target a few seconds up the road. Did the Ferrari just have a little bit of an advantage that the Porsches lacked tonight? Is that going to be the telling part of the narrative this season as far as GT3 Pro-Am's concerned?
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, Zach. I think Dane, in general, had a lot more pace than me here today. I saw him he was battling with Derek quite hard at the start of the race, and then once he got past, he was pretty clear up the road. I think P3 for me was probably the best I could do. I took my second pit stop a bit earlier because there was some lapped cars battling in front. So I would have liked to extend that a bit and hopefully got a bit closer to Derek or jumped him after that second pit stop, but who knows? I got him in the end, so I'll take it.
Is there anyone you'd like to thank before I let you go?
Just all the guys at Northwind, yourselves at GSRC. A big shout out to Cam Dakin and Joel Hansen, just for the work they've done on new liveries this season, and they've been flat out. So yeah, just and everyone else in Pro-Am. It's been it's always a great racing with these guys. So
it is, and we're looking forward to seeing more of it in the weeks ahead, mate. And again, we were talking last week about why different people are eyeing off different manufacturers at the moment. It's nice to actually see some variance and some real competitiveness between a vast array of different manufacturers rather than just being saturated domination by one, as we've seen with Porsche, particularly in the Pro Split last term and Ford at the start of this term. Here, 3 different manufacturers on the podium, and it looks as though there's going to be a couple of circuits that favour one over the other. So it's going to be a case of just trying to tick the boxes, achieve what you can with the equipment at your disposal, and then maintain some sort of consistency. Reach out, grab the invitation when the chance is there to make the most of being the form favourite car of the night, but it's not always going to be a clear-cut sort of process. So we're looking forward to seeing how it all plays out, particularly in those sprint rounds where damage limitation is going to be so vitally important as well. And then St. Petersburg, the unknown entity of GT3 this season. You've been very good with your time as always, mate. We do appreciate it. Go well. Enjoy the rest of the week. We might catch up on Thursday.
Thanks a lot, Zach. All the best.
Again, 7 different manufacturers in the top, or 6 different manufacturers, I think it was, in the top 10 in all of that, folks. Ford, Ferrari, Porsche, Mercedes, Aston, McLaren, and Lambo. So, yes, 7 different manufacturers in the top 10 tonight. Really good to see. Hello, Greg Heaney. Hello, Dane Snadden. Dane, very nicely done. Second for you tonight. Massive result. Made the move. Had to work hard for it, but got it done and then took off out of sight from Derek Fitzgerald. And in the end, a very comfortable second place win result for you. But there was just no catching Harrison Den Brinker even at that early point.
No, I could see him going off in the distance when I was behind Derek there. He made some pretty good pretty good defensive moves in the early laps, so that made it a little bit tough to get past. I put a bit of inner Kostecki up the inside of him there in one of the corners. Obviously not as harsh as Brody does, but he gave me the room. I think it was into turn 1 there, but yeah, made the pass nice and cleanly, which was good. We battled through second and third corners side by side, nice and cleanly again, which was also fun. He kept a bit of, I think it was about a second for probably five or so laps till probably that first pit stop. He was behind me. I sort of told myself to stop looking in the mirror and focus on what's coming in front. But yeah, I had nothing for Harrison. That was amazing. I was looking at his lap times. He was hitting 55s in there, pretty consistent. It was 56s, so a good second off the pace there, Zach. That's a fair way away, but that's hopefully the Pro-Am pace I'm looking for pretty much all season.
Well, that's exactly right, mate. And again, I mentioned this at the end of the chat with Jason, and I want to hear it from you as well. Why the Ferrari? When you look at the 10 rounds, different tracks are going to favour different manufacturers, and at the end of the day, you've got to cut your losses somewhere, right? But from your standpoint, was it more because you thought the Ferrari was going to be a championship-winning car, or more because of driver comfort?
Never driven the Ferrari, Zach. That was the only reason.
Oh, okay.
Done everything else: Mustang, Porsche, Aston, McLaren. Yeah, you name it. I've driven it and did a couple of laps in the Fez, and it didn't do Porsche thing, so that was really good. And I thought, yeah, let's give it a go.
Very well done. Strategy tonight. Second stop was lap 24. First stop was pretty much on par with the front runners. Was it a clear-cut case of balancing the need to preserve tyres, change tyres, or do something different to the leaders? Or was it a case of, if we go a long stint for the first stint, we can go 2 shorter stints for the run home? What was going through your mind from a strategy standpoint?
Unfortunately, Zach, I'm pretty basic on the strats here, mate. So it's straight down the line. Yeah, half. I think it was 30 litres first stop, 30 litres next one. I don't know what Harrison did on that second stop, but I think he gained a lot of time. So I might have to go back and do a bit of digging in that second stop to see what he did there. But no, he
only needed 3 laps of fuel. That was his real leg up. He went 15 and 16 for his 2 stints. He only needed 3 laps of fuel.
I might have to get Zach in the con box for me as well to give me a bit of mathematical help on the strats as well. But I don't know. If I complicate things, Zach, I complicate things and make things worse. So just keep it simple, mate.
Maths is not my strong point. I've told you that before. There's a lot of people and a lot of evidence to suggest why people wouldn't believe that statement, but nevertheless, we'll continue on. So never driven the Ferrari before, but the follow-up question to that is, how have you found it? Do you like it? And does it entice you to come back and run the next 8 weeks as well?
Yeah, definitely keep with the Fez. As I said, it doesn't do Porsche things, so that's an amazing thing for a rear engine car for me. A little bit floaty in the front end. The wonderful guys at Whiskey Big Business have come up the goods with a few different setups this season, which is really good to roll through different groups of setups to see which ones sort of suit my driving. Me, once again, simple. I'm not that great at setting cars up, so I do like other people to do it for me. So when they do it well, it does make my life a lot easier. But Spa last week, that was pretty tough. Crashed first lap and then ran a whole lot of laps with damage. Ended up finishing, but not great. So it's good to get back up the pointy end.
Indeed it is. We do have results coming in from both the Pro and the AM split for you in just a moment, folks, and I might tick those off before we hear from Greg Heaney. But Dane, the next few weeks, I mean, Fuji, Brands Hatch for sprint racing, Sandown for sprint racing, I'm particularly excited about. But Fuji, thoughts on that circuit and how you might fare around there if we see you on the grid?
Like Fuji, GSRC's done a few races over the seasons there. I've done a lot of officials there, done a lot of other sims as well. So drifting on ACC, that's another good spot, Fuji. So I don't mind the track. It should hopefully suit the Fez, I think, in that nice last section there. Hopefully we'll see what happens. Looking at the list you've put up there, Dan, I'd probably say Sebring and Le Mans is my Achilles heel in the season.
Indeed. Luckily, I guess they're in the second half of the campaign, so the onus is on you to bank the results and bank them early. And on that subject, mate, I mean, that's a vast improvement. Second this week. What happened last week, though? 23rd.
Yeah, as I was saying, Zach, first lap jitters, unfortunately, cold tyres coming up through a Rouge there. Four-wheel drifted into the wall, so when you do that on a Ferrari and have a good 45-degree angle of toe in on one tyre, it doesn't sort of handle too well.
No, absolutely not. Hey, terrific work from you, mate. Looking forward to seeing what you bring to the table when we next broadcast the Pro-Am split, and looking forward to seeing what you bring to the table, obviously, when we see you pop up in the other servers throughout the course of the campaign. Last one for you. We saw a couple of people get promoted last week. We suspect that Harrison Den Brink is going to be issued the same invitation this week, albeit of the pro split from Adam Lavis. So how do you handle that from a competitive standpoint when you're looking at where the goalposts are and knowing that you're there or thereabouts? Because if Dan Brinker gets promoted tonight, by default, you become the race winner within those that remain in the series. So how do you balance that? Because obviously, it's a box ticked and it's a big result and that's all good and well. It's handed to you after the fact, so obviously you can't necessarily celebrate in the moment, you celebrate post. But then it also makes it hard, doesn't it, trying to work out A, where the goalposts are, B, who your main competitors are, and C, how you go about racing, knowing full well that if you push the limits too far, you end up with an invitation into the pro split yourself. It's a delicate juggling act, this GT3 Pro-Am series.
That's my problem, Zach. The race starts or qualifying starts, and I just do it, and sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't go so well. What is it? The 1.4% off the pro split. I've been through that whole process before, from going from Pro-Am into Pro. I really enjoyed that, and I really liked and enjoyed going up into the pro split. Now my speed's not there, so I probably won't enjoy it as much. So probably have to look at keeping sort of that percentage, and unfortunately playing that game there to stay out of those guys' race.
All right, very nicely done, mate. And I guess if you want to remain in championship contention, just continue on with the type of performances we saw tonight. Avoid a repeat of last week. Probably looking at a drop round already, but that's the good thing. You've still got one of them up your sleeve, and you've still got 7 or 8 rounds in which to try and combat the misfortune of last week and salvage a respectable result as far as the championship's concerned. And there'll be plenty of twists and turns and ebbs and flows between now and then. Who do you want to thank, Dane?
Obviously the guys at Whiskey Business Racing, the amazing bunch of guys in the Discord chat there. Project X, great little sponsor there. Love the gloves that I run every weekend. Obviously you guys at GSRC putting on the show during the week, and obviously all the guys that do all the hard work behind the scenes that don't sort of get the recognition they deserve. They're probably the unsung heroes in it all.
Indeed, they are. Terrific to catch up with you, mate. Well done on that result tonight, as we say. likely to inherit the win with Harrison Denbrinker being elevated up into the pro split based on that pace and that pace alone. So well done. Good to see a Ferrari on top on home soil. Well done to you, and we'll hopefully catch up for a few more yarns between now and the end of the season.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks, guys.
And his team boss, Greg Heaney's here as well, has been waiting patiently. Do we want to tackle your night, Greg? Do we want to pick that apart? Or do we want to focus on the fact that Whiskey Business had an all right night out? I mean, Sean Benici matched Mickey Dane Snadden all in the top 10. No doubt the team boss very happy with that.
Yeah, I think for the first handful of laps, I was running around with a couple of the boys behind me whilst I'm waving the contracts out the window, getting them to chase me. No, look, good night all round. So we had, obviously, I think there was 7 of us, I think, on track tonight in Pro-Am. We had a couple of guys in, I think we had 1 or 2 guys in Pro and a couple of guys. Will Yarwood was also back on track in the Am split with James as well. So plenty of cars on track across all 3 splits. And, yeah, good to see that we all made the checkered flag in the Pro-Am split. Happy with that. So,
as you should be as well. I mean, pick it apart. Who were the standout performers outside of the top 10 for you, mate? I mean, there's a lot to take away from the guys in the top 10, but I mean, Andrew Neal was out there, and Dale Atkins was out there, and Ben Goring was running the only BMW in the field. Nathan Michael, what the hell happened there with him starting from pit lane, please?
I think he was having issues with qualifying setups. He couldn't quite get something that felt comfortable, and Porsche doing Porsche things just kept rotating on him. So was unfortunate. And then I'm not sure why he actually missed the start, but I think he may have opted to do that instead of starting back of grid. So not entirely sure.
Fair enough as well. From your standpoint, though, I guess I should ask, why the Audi this term?
Because why not? Because the love of the V10, and nobody really runs it anymore. So I was like, well, look, I mean, I had the competitiveness of this grid is getting so tight and compact, and then you get obviously guys that come in and drive away with it, as tonight as an example. But obviously those guys then get elevated. But I'm happy running around and battling with the guys in the mid pack, and I'd like to be battling with Paul again, but he's obviously in his Merc. It's a little bit quicker than me, but we'll see what happens when we get to the tighter, twistier tracks and see if the power of the Merc can keep up. And I haven't seen times on those types of tracks between myself and him just yet. But I thought, well, I'll go back to the Audi and see what I haven't driven it in anger for a few seasons, so I'll throw that back in the ring and see how we go.
It's the other thing as well, Greg, and you know this, and Dan Yeaman can probably vouch for this as well and jump in with his own thoughts. And I know I've got to wrap up shortly, but when we talk about that juggling act, that fight within yourself to weigh up the pros and cons of each of the cars before you go and make a selection as to what you're going to run for the season, being the pick and stick format. And by the way, there was some idiot last week who was asking about a one make series. I think it might have been Formula V. Is this a pick and stick? Well, duh. There's only one bloody thing to choose from. Here you've got 11 different options, but there's a reason why we've got the pick and stick format in place. But the interesting thing of this for me is the way in which you guys, and it's very skilled, right? It's very intelligent the way you guys go about it. Yeaman's had to do it before. We've all you guys go through this process 4 times a year, weighing up what's hot, what's not. But it's not just what car's going to handle the season overall. It's knowing full well that there are some weeks where your car is going to be the flavour of the month, and then there are some weeks where you're just going to have to battle a mongrel of a thing that isn't going to be stacking up against whichever car manufacturer is the preferred. When we get to pick a circuit here, we might say that Ferrari's going to be the flavour of the month at Mugello, but when we get to St. Petersburg, it's going to be let's say the Aston, or more to the point, let's say the Ford, and then when we get to the Red Bull Ring, it might be the Porsche. Doesn't matter. But the way in which you guys go about it, you make your selection, and then you know full well that there are some weeks where you're just going to have to hard stuck casual. Yeah. Had to, sorry. There's only one Formula V in iRacing. If we had the 1200 and the 1600, different story. But no, save me here, Greg, because I'm going round and roundabouts. I think you know what I'm getting at.
The choice of car, I thought, well, everybody's going to go either the Mustang, which I'm not going to drive. The guys are trying to get me to drive it. It's not going to happen. There was either obviously the flavour of the month at the moment is the Mustang, the Aston Martin, the Mercedes, and the Porsche. Well, I've driven the Aston, I've driven the Merc, I've driven the Porsche, and I'm not going to drive the Mustang. So it was a case of we ran the Bathurst 12-hour in the Audi. It seemed to do pretty well. We were comfortable in it, and it behaved itself, albeit tonight it only misbehaved once. So, yeah, I mean, I just like, you know what, I'll drive the Audi because I haven't driven it for a while. It doesn't get used a lot. So I showed a bit of love and put it on the track. So,
Dan, from your standpoint, because I know you're still here with us, hence why we're still on air, folks. Thanks for the fun night, boys. Enjoying the series. No, thank you for tuning in. It is great to have an audience still encapsulated with or engrossed by what we're broadcasting at this time of the night, or immersed or involved or engaged with. Terrific to have all of you guys tuning in. Sean Benici saying that it is their mission to make you drive it at some point, Greg Heaney. So good luck with that. Maybe team principal privilege might have to be thrown around the room at some point there for you.
Quite possibly.
Quite possibly indeed. Dan Yeaman, from your standpoint, mate, I mean, obviously what I'm getting at is knowing full well that there are some weeks where you're just going to have to turn up and grin and bear it, bite your tongue and just persevere with maybe some sort of weakened machinery or the word that was coming to me has escaped the brain very quickly. But it's an interesting juggling act throughout the course of the season. We see the odd driver come out and make whatever car they choose. I'm thinking Matt Dench, the car to beat wherever we go. It doesn't matter. But more and more, we're seeing other manufacturers throw their hand into the ring, and it's healthy from a competitive standpoint for GT3, for sim racing, and for this series at large, that we do have a mix of circuits that favour different cars, and we see a mixed bag of results as such of that.
I mean, yeah, there are times where we're going to see it. We see a balance. Unfortunately, you're pointing out the example of the Porsche last season. Well, that was a case of where the Porsche was just that much better at Daytona. That it was just basically, if you wanted to have a strong result at that track for the gents, that obviously forced the hand for pick and stick, and yeah, so tonight was a good example of the generally pretty decent balance. Although, of course, that keeps in mind that actually he's a fair point, because Harrison Mustang front engine, Dane Ferrari mid engine, Jason Derrick Porsche's a rear, and Paul and the Merc is a front engine. It's actually five front engine cars between Astons and Mercs and Merc and Fords. What's that? 2 Porsches in the rear engine, and then Ferrari and McLaren for front engines. We can bring Matt Schwicke into the 10 after Brad Coates' penalty, so it's actually a Lamborghini for 3 mid-engine cars in the 10. Actually, by all things, I'm actually rather surprised by that being as balanced as it is, because it is very well balanced. As you noted, Pro Split's a bit of a different story. We can show that off in a little bit. And I guess, and for that, it's sort of like, yeah, you pick a car based on what you think is good. For the most part, you try and pick a car that's going to be good at the most places. We have exceptions there, with Daytona and how that worked out, where it was just the Porsche was that much better that so be it. That's the car. everyone ran with. But yeah, hopefully it's one of those things where I'm looking to see now. We've also had a recent update, a mid-season update that's introduced greater BOP capabilities to the platform. We can now actually not just detract from a car's capabilities, but also enhance their capabilities and start playing around with, like, okay, what's the middle car of the bunch? But the main thing I would like to see at the end of the day really is just that you start seeing some better, from an iRacing level, per track BOP in these categories that have multiple cars, so that drivers can more sort of go to a car based on what they want to drive, not so much based on what is the best car to drive. But that may just have to continue being wishful thinking of mine at this point in time.
You never know. If you bash on the door loud enough for long enough, someone will eventually pick it up and run with it, as we saw with the Tempest weather system. How long did we wait for variable weather to be introduced on the platforms across the universe of iRacing? So, interesting in all of that, because, again, I'm drawing blanks with regards to how I was trying to articulate that a little bit better than I did, but you got the point, ladies and gentlemen. There are some weeks in which we will say the Ferrari's the car to beat, and then there are other weeks where, it'll be well off the mark. That's what makes GT3 racing what it is. That's what makes Monday Night Motorsport compulsory viewing, and it's great to see. Obviously, it's a purple patch at the moment for the Mustang and the Porsche, but in the past we've seen BMW at the fore. Haven't yet seen the Chevy really hit its mark. Apart from Matt Schmidtke, there's never been a lot of love for the Lambo in the recent past either. Great to see a Ferrari finally back at the top end of proceedings. Waiting for Aston Martin to have its day, quite frankly. There was a lot of hype around that when it joined the iRacing universe some time ago. But yeah, I applaud the temperament of our drivers who turn up. 9 times out of 10, we've all got that competitive mongrel about us. It's always about fun, but the results are a bonus, and the boys wear their heart on their sleeve. And there are some nights where they've just got to turn up and know full well that they're flogging a dead horse and speeding the wrong drums. So it's it's one of those things. That's why one-make racing has its place. That's why multi-make racing has its place. Greg, taking it back to you at the moment, the Mugello circuit, she bites hard. We found that out for a couple of competitors tonight. From your standpoint, though, Mugello, is it a circuit that you'd like to see more racing at or not?
Oh, look, I don't mind the circuit. You just got to be patient with it because, otherwise it will bite. I just happened to maybe get on the power a little bit too much and on worn tyres, and Dale and I were both driving the same car and discussing how many tyres to throw at it, and I think about 4 laps before my pit stop I was set on throwing 3 tyres at it, and then the lap before my pit stop I'm like, no, bugger it, I'm only going to throw the front left at it, which is probably what was my downfall in the end with it looping at the exit of turn 2. But no, look, I don't mind the circuit. It certainly makes some good racing, but it definitely punishes tyres around here. So,
indeed, it does, and it will continue to do so in the months and years ahead. Next stop on the tour, Fuji. Thoughts on how you and the Audi might fare there, mate, and the team at large as well. I mean, obviously, great result for the 3 guys that ended up in the top 10, and no doubt the rest of the stable eyeing that off as the target now. It's wanting a piece of it, knowing that the stable is capable of being a top 10 contender.
Yeah, for Fuji, if providing I can keep the back of the car at the back end of the car, I'll be happy. Being we're going to have to trim it out with little downforce on it to be able to keep it relatively competitive. But yeah, as for the rest of the guys, I mean, they're doing fantastic. They're all obviously, as Sean has mentioned, trying to get me to drive the Mustang. Look, I may cave at some point, but it's kind of like the guys at work trying to get me to shave my beard even for a good cause. But I said to them, that's not happening. Even though if it's for a good cause, but it's taken me long enough to get it to where it is. But no, look, for the rest of the guys, they're doing a fantastic job, putting on a good show. racing each other well, racing clean, and I mean, I hold everybody as up to a higher standard, like I hold myself up to a high standard. So it's a good show for everybody all around.
Very good show indeed. Very nicely done. What's on the radar for you for the rest of this week, please?
Supercars on Wednesday and GTPs in the Enduro Series on Friday.
Okay, very nicely done. What do you make of the... Oh, I mean, obviously, you've already said not to mention it to Andrew Neil. Obviously, a bit of a sore point there, but from your standpoint, how do you enjoy the return of multi-class racing to these platforms?
I actually really enjoyed it. For I think it was 25-car strong GTP grid with the rest of the cars filled out in GTE. So I think there was close to 50 cars on the track around Imola. It was actually really good racing. Obviously with a minor hiccup at the start with a few laps in, but for the most part, it was actually really, really clean and really, really good. So.
All right, excellent stuff. Next week, Fuji, looking forward to that. Brands Hatch to follow. So some interesting, very different tracks in back-to-back weeks and back-to-back different formats as well ahead on the platforms of GSRC as far as Waste Options GT3 is concerned. I mean, we're looking forward to the Supercars and Toyotas on Wednesday night. I obviously can't be here for that, but that's VIR. For those of you that are tuning in, Thursday night, we need to recruit a few more starters to Formula V, I think, Greg.
Yeah, I haven't chatted with the guys yet. I'll have a chat with them and see if they want to jump in. So I will have some more time on my hands soon because as of Wednesday, I'm working from home permanently. So it saves me about 3 hours a day. So I should be able to knock out a few more liveries if needed. So.
Working from home permanently. I like it. If only I could do that myself. I mean, I can for the sim racing, but not for everything else. Oh, very nicely done. Great work, Greg. Good to hear from you. Good luck with the work in the real world and the tireless work that's ongoing here on the platforms of the GSRC for you and the rest of the crew as well, mate. Very nicely done. Thornberger just confirming that he'll be racing in Formula V. I know. I look forward to seeing you there, mate, on the back of that trip to Mexico City last week. We're off to Alton Park this week. It won't disappoint either. Thanks, Greg. Go and enjoy the rest of your Monday night.
No worries. Cheers.
Now, Adam Lavis is still crunching away at the Pro-Am results. But I can tell you the AM and Pro results in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, and what it means for their respective championships as well. Daniel Edmonds, the winner tonight, picked up 103 points. Sean Dorey on debut in that's the Canadian the boys were talking about, on debut in the Pro Split after dominating Pro-Am last week. And that's the point, like that top end of town in Pro-Am is always being, messed with because you've got drivers that are coming and going and you've got different benchmarks and targets going on each and every week. And no more evidence required than what you've seen tonight. Another new name, another race win, and probably another promotion. And expect Harrison Den Brinker to appear somewhere in the realms of where Sean Dorey's planted himself tonight. So Daniel Edmonds, 13 seconds to the good. And Dorey held off Richard Mitchum. International flavour on that podium. Have a look at that. Jeez. Then back to Simon Cox, Eli Donaldson, Jonas Deggan, John Wright was 8th, Aaron Major, BF Young, and Dwayne Whitmore, the top 10. So a couple of new names up there in the Pro Split based on what we've seen over the last couple of weeks. We had 21 drivers start that race, and 2 of them were late retirements. Wayne Hewitt and Joel Farley would have been classified within 75%, but I think they've been given a big fat DNF with regards to not being in the server when the session ended. So Adam Lavis clamping down on that still. And Simon Cox was given a penalty during that race as well. It was 3 safety points for undue care. We go from the GT3 Pro Split to GT3 AM. Todd Suter getting another win there, this time from Nathan Harvey, Alan McDonald, Anthony Cuthbertson, Dale Sharp, Scott Wooden Joel Hansen, Martin Davis, Luke Wegener, and Tim Watson. And another good field lining up there as well. If we can keep going, we can tell you that we're 21 starters in that race tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So that's really good, promising numbers for all three splits at the moment. The brunt of it is here in GT3 Pro-Am. There's no doubt about that. I apologise. I've started to hit the wall. The last couple of days of travel and everything else have caught up with me. Before I go and have a look at the championship points, some final thoughts from you, Dan Yeaman. It's been an interesting night. Mugello dished up a bit more entertainment than I think we probably would have expected, but that's GT3 Pro-Am at the moment, and as Paul Wood and a few others have said, it is so competitive, it is so close, it is so cutthroat here at the moment.
Yeah, no, 100% it is, and it's something that looking forward to seeing perhaps a little bit more over the next little while, because whilst I'll not be necessarily able to fully engage with Pro-Am and Monday night racing in general, I think this does bode well for what what the club can look forward to in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, that diversity in car selection seems to be good there, which means that getting a chance to see drivers pick a car based on what they want to drive, rather than feeling like they have to go for a car that presents as a better performer car on outright pace. So yeah, and with going to Fuji next week, that might expose a bit of some high-speed shenanigans that may come out, perhaps, if drivers and teams can find them. But otherwise, well, with the sprint round format, as well as these regular races, let alone the Enduro or two that'll come later on in the season, and really get drivers to have to work out how they've got the long-form chops as a solo drive. Look forward to seeing how it all plays out here.
Indeed, we are very excited about what's coming up in this series. Championship points, Richard Mitchum retains the lead in Pro-Am. In Pro. 261 plays Daniel Evans 251. They've got a win apiece so far, the difference being Richard's third tonight compared to Daniel's second last week. And of course, as the boys have already said, so much emphasis being placed on the bonus points already this season, because everything's worth more. So pole position merits a couple of bonus points, and a clean race does, and most positions gained, and fastest lap, and clean race, etc., etc. All those different bonuses add up over the course of a season. We've seen championships won and lost based on that in the past. So Richard Mitchum ahead of Daniel Evans, then Eli Donaldson on 223. 203 for Sean Dorey, already bringing a wealth of points with him. He brought 2/3 of the points that he pocketed last week in the Pro-Am split with him. So he started with 108. He's now only 58 off the lead. He's a factor once we get to the back end of the campaign if he brings that form to the table each and every week. It's about consistency, but as you can see there, already 3 different manufacturers in the top 5 and 4 in the top 10. Very Ford Mustang heavy at the moment. Aaron Major on 193, Daniel Piper, Vinny Nguyen, Jonas Deggan, Luke King and Paul Rogers make up the top 10. Deggan was 6th tonight, which was a vast improvement on the 13th last week. So a very good result for him. Pro-Am is still being worked on at the moment. Am, oh boy, 227 apiece now. Todd Suter, Joel Hansen, then Mitchell Vanderven. 210, and again 2 different winners in as many weeks. Last week a Mustang, tonight an Aston Martin. So again, that point that I had trouble sort of making sense of for those of you at home is true, and is first and foremost prominent and prevalent at this point when you look at the fact that we've had 2 rounds and 2 different manufacturers on top. Hansen 227, Vandervan 210, Dale Sharp 207, Scott Wooden 199. 2 McLarens there. In the end, you've got 4 different manufacturers in the top 4, 5 in the top 6, 5 in the top 10. There's no repeats there. It's McLaren, Ford, Porsche, just the sole Aston and the sole Lambo at the moment. But Lambo on a bit of a charge here, which is exciting to see, even though Mitchell Vandervan was down in 14th tonight. Todd Suter on top, and Joel Hansen there alongside him. So already Ford dominating 1-2 in the first split, in the pro split. At the moment, when we have a look at the sums from tonight, I mean, it'll be hard to gauge it completely, ladies and gentlemen, but Sean Benici and Matt Schmidtke are going to be prominent there with their points hauls from last week. So it's going to be Porsche and McLaren and Lambo at the top end of town as far as the AM split, Pro-Am split is concerned, rather. And the AM split, well, yeah, 3 different manufacturers, but again, Aston and Porsche look prominent too. So everywhere you look, there's variety and diversity. That's what we like about this series. And again, the onus will be on those that are running the less favoured manufacturers to reach out and grab their opportunities with open arms when the chance is presented to them, where we're in a part of the world or on a racetrack in which they're the car to be and they're the car to beat. And that could make all the difference. But also, I guess the other element of this, Dan Yeaman, over the course of what's to come is damage limitation during the sprint round. Sometimes you've just got to play the patient game there. Salvage what you can with a view to the bigger picture. There will be a lot of rip, tear, rush, bust, hustle and bustle. We'd expect that. We associate that with the sprint rounds. But playing the patient game could yield the reward in the long run, especially with a view to when we get to round 10 still being in championship contention. If you get caught up in incidents, especially in the pro split where there's no fast repair waiting for you, put a line through it, there's one of your drop rounds burnt. There's something to be said about racecraft and thinking long game and playing it smart when we get to those sprint rounds, when you're in an invert position, particularly on circuits like Brands Hatch, where overtaking opportunities come at a premium.
Yep, going to have to think smart for those who are looking to make a championship run and are in a position to do so. And let me just quickly want to double check on that again. So we have, Brands Hatch and Sandown back-to-back sprints.
Yeah.
And then and St. Pete as well.
That
those 3 in particular. Red Bull Ring, kinda, because it is a track which is going to encourage pack-type racing if the group sticks together as well. I would say those 4 tracks are probably going to be decisive, to put it mildly, as to exactly how the schedule runs out. So anyone making a championship tilt, those 4 races, they're going to want to make sure that it's about keeping, as you said, a clean pair of heels above chasing results. And also given the fact that you have the bonus of the revised point scheme is going to penalise you less for having a slightly off week if you prioritise protecting your car over each and every single race result being as best as it can and risking a win or bin scenario.
All right, very nicely done. Good to catch up with you, mate. Nice work tonight. We worked our way through a couple of little teething issues there in the first part of it, and indeed in GT3, but we got through relatively unscathed. Back-to-back days for you. Go and enjoy a little bit of a break, and we'll catch up at a later point in time. From Dan Yeaman, and saying thank you to him. Great work. Filling the seat normally occupied by Adam Lavis. In return, Adam Lavis will occupy it for him on Wednesday night. That's when we're next on air. Just not sure who's going to be with Adam at this point. It may yet be Dan, if he can get away from work early enough. Before we get to that committee's choice racing from the TCR series from the Knock Hill circuit in Scotland tomorrow night. Narrow racetrack, but a cracker of a racetrack, and good for close, tight-knit racing. So Knock Hill, 3 races. The server itself opens at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow night for the second event in the committee's choice campaign. Wednesday night, boys are back with you. I'm off calling the Porsche Pro Invitational. And I'm actually emceeing a gig in Ipswich tomorrow night at the University of Queensland, or University of Southern Queensland, I should say, for the Ipswich Jets Junior Grades Rugby League presentation night. So that pushes me out of the booth 2 nights on the trot here on the platforms of the GSRC. Knocks me out of trivia tomorrow night as well. GR86 Challenge from VIR, the full circuit in use there 2 sprint races at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, broadcast 7:25 Eastern Standard Time, and there will be a compulsory splash and dash in the sprint feature there for the Toyotas. That's the bit of detail that is different between them and Formula 3. I tripped up on that earlier in the night. So the GR86 leads us off. The supercars bring us home. It's a 40-minute regular sprint race for them from 8:45 Eastern Standard Time, the broadcast from 8:40. So VIR in use on the full configuration for both races on Wednesday night. As I say, it could well be Dan Yeoman in with Adam Lavis, but someone will be here with Adam, and we look forward to that. I'll be back next week. Alton Park for Formula V, 10 minutes for race 1, 15 for heats 2 and 3, 7:30 Eastern on Thursday night. Second round of the championship, races 4, 5 and 6. Matt Schmidtke with me for that. The best ticket in town, the main course on a Thursday night, 5:30 East, Western, 7:30 Eastern, 9:30 in New Zealand, and then on to Long Beach in California, where the IndyCars have already cleared the paddock there after this morning's round of their series. We now take over with our coverage of the Porsche Cup there on Thursday night for race 1 from the open split and race 2 from the elite split, 8:45 Eastern Standard Time, the first of 5 sprint rounds in that campaign, considering that there's also a super sprint contained within that at the end of the season from Sandown. So yeah, street racing on Thursday night. We're excited about that. And a 5-race program as well. A 5-race program. How good? A full sprint night for you. Friday night, if we're live, we're with you from 8:25 Eastern Standard Time. If we're not, this race will happen at 8:30 Eastern. It's an enduro round, so a 105-minute race. The GSRC Gentlemen's Endurance Championship, GEC, from the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, the Grand Prix configuration there. So no confusion over the configurations, unlike Formula V last week. A few of the guys were thrown off by the fact that it was a Formula E configuration. So 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, if we're live for that, is when the race will get underway. Mountain Men, Saturday night. They'll spin the wheel Friday night to determine the car of choice for Saturday night, and the race itself will be from 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over the usual distance of 32 laps. And then on Monday night next week, the Grand Prix configuration of the Nürburgring for a 30-minute round for the Waste Options Formula 3 Series Wings and Slicks. That's from 7:25 Eastern Standard Time. Then we're bringing you the Pro Split from Waste Options GT3 again. That is from the Fuji International Speedway, the Grand Prix configuration there as well. And 60 minutes the journey. That race is due to get underway from 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, 6:30 on the West Coast, and 10:30 in New Zealand. So if you're watching from far-flung parts of the world, GMT, we are Australian Eastern Standard Time, GMT plus 10. So those broadcasts are usually starting around 9:25 a.m. GMT or 10:25 on a Friday if it is live. So with that, we're done. A big thanks to Dan Yeoman for doing the switcheroo with Adam Lavis tonight to ensure that the broadcast got up and away, and Adam very selflessly agreeing to the switcheroo because it means that you can't race on Wednesday night, so he'll pick up the freight there and everybody finishes happy. A big thanks to you at home for your company. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. Trophy AI, Waste Options, Flash Graphics, of course, the great people at merch.tgsrci.com and Disruptive Labs are all responsible for making it happen by virtue of their ongoing support and their ongoing involvement and sponsorship of this magnificent club. And on the subject of merch.tgsrci.com, that's where you go for all your related GSRC merch and paraphernalia. And make sure you get your hands on some of that. It's not too late to get mum something for Mother's Day. Go to the merch store, merch.tgsrci.com. Particularly if mum likes a cold one, bottle opener and stubby holder. Perfect. Box ticked. Move on. Make sure you've got something else much more suitable for the occasion, and just have that as a side stocking stuffer. Hope you enjoyed it at home. 11 Eastern Standard Time, and I am absolutely spent. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you, and as much as we enjoyed watching Harrison Den Brinker carve it up at Mugello in Italy in Waste Options GT3 Pro-Am. Next stop, the Fuji International Speedway, but we've got some great racing to come in week 2 of Term 2 of 2026 between now and next Monday night. Hope you'll come back and join us for that, starting on Wednesday night. And on a side note, good luck to all of our guys that are, of course, competing in round 2 of the Porsche Pro Invitational, which is running at the same time on Wednesday evening, being looked after by our colleagues over at the SimSpeed Esports Network. Until we catch up on Wednesday night, or Thursday night in my case, on behalf of Dan Yeoman, the entire broadcast commentary and production team here, I'm Zach Caban, wishing you a very good night.